Chapter 1206. Murong Bo and Heaven's Chosen One both landed in front of Li Fan. Although the two of them would fight, Li Fan was their priority. Just as the two of them landed on the island, a golden light flashed in the sky. It was like a dragon cutting through the night sky and instantly appeared in front of the three of them. Boom! The golden light hit the island, causing Heaven's Chosen One and Murong Bo to take 2 steps back. A golden sword was stabbed into the ground in front of Li Fan. There was even a faint electric glow on it. The dragon lady had indeed heard his prayers and sent him this Shang Fang sword. With this sword, Li Fan did not have to worry about not being able to defeat the two of them. The Shang Fang sword was used to cut down evil spirits. Li Fan had seen it before. When Imperial concubine Zhou saw this sword, she also avoided it. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and held onto the hilt of the Shang Fang sword. "Little bastard, do you think you can defeat me with just a sword?" Murong Bo did not care about this sword at all. He stretched out his hand and the surrounding seawater was sucked over, condensing into a water sword in his palm. Imperial concubine Zhou had used this move before. Li Fan could also use it. At this moment, the water sword in the old man's hand glowed with green light. He had gathered his Yin power to the extreme. Heaven's Chosen One's gaze fell on the Shang Fang sword and he muttered to himself, "Dangerous weapon detected." Automatically switching to weapon form. Heaven's Chosen One stretched out his right hand. Frost slowly condensed in his hand. Soon, an ice spear appeared in his hand. As the saying goes, an inch longer, an inch stronger. He held the spear in his hand and pointed it at Li Fan's throat. These two were top-notch experts. Ordinary methods would not work in a fight with them. Open! A dazzling golden light burst out from Li Fan's eyes. A strong force exploded from his body and impacted the surroundings, causing the two of them to move away. What power! Murong frowned and put her arms in front of her to block the shock wave released from Li Fan. Li Fan was wearing a golden robe with arrow sleeves. His pupils had turned completely golden. When Li Fan opened his eyes, a golden radiance was released. Murong Bo was startled when he saw this. What was going on? Why was there such a terrifying pressure coming from this kid? He was already a turtle in a jar. Could it be that he still had some tricks up his sleeves? Thinking of Li Fan's black-bellied side, Murong felt a little uncertain in her heart. Without hesitation, he left as quickly as he came. The old man immediately turned around and left on the waves. So fucking smart. Li Fan had no time to chase after Murong. He had to get rid of the Chosen One first. Li Fan suddenly raised his sword and pointed it at the sky. In an instant, a huge golden sword fell from the sky and directly hit the Chosen One's body, cutting him into meat paste. The Chosen One did not even have time to resist and was instantly killed. After Li Fan used this move, the golden light on his body slowly dissipated. The arrow sleeves also dissipated bit by bit. He returned to his original appearance. The Shang Fang sword in his hand suddenly rose from the ground and shot into the air, disappearing without a trace. After using it, the Shang Fang sword returned to the dragon lady. Only when the dragon lady fell asleep would the Shang Fang sword truly belong to Li Fan. Moreover, the Shang Fang sword would probably not be willing to stay by Li Fan's side. Looking at the pile of minced meat on the ground, it was still wriggling slightly. Li Fan could not help but mutter in his heart. This Shang Fang sword specialized in killing evil spirits. Murong practiced evil skills and was considered an evil spirit like Imperial concubine Zhou. But the Chosen One, he was an artificially created clone. Could he be considered an evil spirit? Just as Li Fan thought of this, the minced meat suddenly wriggled violently. Black tentacles popped out and quickly wrapped around Li Fan. Before death, the Chosen One would absorb the surrounding flesh and blood to replenish his nutrients and reconstruct his body. However, the only flesh and blood here was Li Fan. Li Fan was shocked. He quickly reached out and waved his hand, trying to cut off these tentacles. However, there were minced meat everywhere and so were the tentacles. They wrapped around Li Fan's body crazily, leaving him nowhere to hide. Li Fan felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. These tentacles were frantically devouring his body. However, how could Li Fan admit defeat just like that? He could not die here. He let out a long roar that pierced through the clouds. Vital energy continuously emerged from his body, resisting the tearing of these tentacles. Li Fan felt as if he was playing tug-of-war with a strongman. It was a competition to see who could move the rope. However, Li Fan's strength in this tug-of-war was not small either. Golden body. Li Fan directly used the golden body technique. He condensed the vital energy around his body, forming a golden shell that wrapped around him. With this enhancement, Li Fan's body was indestructible. No matter how the tentacles struggled, they could not take away any flesh and blood from Li Fan. When creating the Chosen One, they chose Li Fan's genes. This was because Li Fan was young and had potential. When he was young, his skills had shocked everyone and he had dominated the pugilistic world. Therefore, after struggling for a period of time, these nanocells slowly became confused. The real Li Fan was here. They quickly thought that this was their main body. Since they could not snatch it away, they would attach themselves to it. Soon, these cells began to enter Li Fan's body. They found the place where they should be and slowly merged with Li Fan. Li Fan was freed from the tearing pain. Soon, he felt a sense of expansion, followed by an unprecedented feeling of comfort. It was as if something in his body had been filled. Layers of black tentacles surrounded him, as if forming a black cocoon. The diamond-shaped chip also quickly drilled into Li Fan's body, trying to squeeze into his brain stem and control Li Fan's brain. However, Li Fan's mental strength was also trained. He quickly felt this threat. He immediately controlled his mental strength and used his vital energy to control his flesh and blood to resist this chip. This chip was continuously squeezed by Li Fan and could not resist. Soon, it was squeezed into his left hand by Li Fan's strength and stabbed into the back of his left hand. Meanwhile, the nanocells continued to merge with Li Fan. A layer of ice crystals formed on the outside of the black cocoon, freezing him inside. This fusion lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Within these 3 days, Murong Bo had also come here once. However, he did not feel any aura. He only saw an ice crystal thrown on the island. Murong did not think much of it. He thought that this was left behind after the battle between Li Fan and the Chosen One. Li Fan should have slipped away long ago. As for what happened to Murong, let's not talk about it. 3 days later, Li Fan, who was in the black cocoon, suddenly opened his eyes. Chapter 1207. After Li Fan opened his eyes looked different. At first glance, his eyes were like a pair of stars in a cold night. They were bright and full of expression, releasing an admirable spirit. Li Fan's body shook, and the ice crystal was immediately shattered. In an instant, an icy mist sprayed all over the reef island. The black cocoon was also instantly frozen into an ice cocoon, which was shattered by Li Fan. He stood up from inside and took a deep breath of fresh air. Li Fan stretched, then glanced at his left hand. There was still a diamond-shaped chip embedded in the back of his hand. It had broken through his skin just like that, revealing a section of it. It exuded a high-tech vibe. This was slightly different from the dragon chip. The dragon chip did not have autonomous control abilities, but this chip did. It had a computing device on it, and it even stored the martial arts of various sections. However, because Li Fan had forcibly separated the chip from his brain, the computing ability could not be used anymore. This thing had become a decoration. It could not be called a decoration. It should be called a time bomb. Once he weakened, this thing might go against the flow and compete with him for control of his brain. Moreover, he could not pull it off, because its only value now was to stabilize the genome in his body. There were many nanomachines in the genetic cells of the Chosen Ones. At this moment, these nanomachines were in his body and had merged with him. If he forcefully pulled this thing off, the nanomachines would lose control, and his body would suffer terrible damage. His life might even be in danger. However, there were also benefits. In addition to having the ability to use ice, his body would also quickly regenerate with the help of the nanomachines if his body was damaged. In other words, this fusion was still quite beneficial to him. Li Fan stretched out his left hand. The ability to use ice and primordial energy fused together, making his left hand look like white jade. The combination of superpowers and primordial energy should be even more powerful. Li Fan was confirming his thoughts. The power gathered on his left hand became stronger and stronger, and the surrounding temperature suddenly dropped a few degrees. After his power reached an extreme, Li Fan slammed his palm on the ground. Bang! The island under his feet suddenly turned into ice crystals and then exploded, scattering in all directions and floating in the sea. Li Fan stepped on a piece of ice and looked at the turbulent sea. He was excited. It worked. This palm was too powerful. Should he name this palm the Chosen One's palm? Why should he advertise the Chosen One? Thinking that his basic cultivation technique was the dragon fighting technique, Li Fan decided to name it after dragon fighting technique. The new cultivation method should also be settled. Li Fan had a clue in his heart. When he returned, he should start training in seclusion. Thinking of this, Li Fan stepped on the ice and judged the direction. At this time, the sun had just risen in the east. Li Fan did not even need a compass to determine the direction. Li Fan and his body immediately leaped forward. Li Fan used a day's worth of effort. When he was tired, he found an island to meditate and rest. After replenishing his strength, he continued moving forward. After that day, he finally came across a fishing boat. He disguised himself as a victim and boarded the boat. "Friend, where are you from?" The captain looked to be in his 40s. His skin was rough, and his skin was dark. He wore a short shirt, and his body was filled with the moist aura of a man from the Yu family. After he rescued Li Fan, he asked Li Fan in a Shandong accent. This familiar voice reminded Li Fan of his dormitory boss, Wang Yang, so he felt a sense of familiarity. "How did you fall into the water?" In this vast sea, it was rare to save someone who had fallen into the water. Especially since there were no wrecked ships nearby, the shipowner could not help but ask, "Father, why are you so talkative? Can't you see that I'm freezing?" A 15 or 16-year-old girl with delicate and pretty features, but her skin was a bit tanned. She was carrying a set of clean clothes to give to Li Fan. In order to disguise himself better, Li Fan deliberately wet his suit. I'm just curious. You're already an adult, yet you're still so curious. I'll go get little brother to change his clothes. Keep an eye on the fishing net." With that, the girl led Li Fan into the cabin next to them. This fishing boat was not very big. It was just a small fishing boat. However, it was easy to get a fishing boat, but difficult to get a fishing license. Especially in the sea area between the Bohai Sea and the Yellow Sea, a fishing license could even be offered at a sky-high price. There were only the father and daughter on this fishing boat. The girl was very warm-hearted and put the dry clothes on the bed. "Brother, you can change your clothes here. I'll help you wash your clothes." With that, he stood in the cabin with his hands clasped behind his back, showing no intention of leaving. It's not convenient for me to have you here," the girl giggled. "Why you men from the city so shy? I've seen a lot of naked men out fishing. Take it off, I'm still waiting to wash your clothes." "Okay." The girl was generous, which made Li Fan look a little petty. He took off his suit, revealing his tall and strong body, which made the girl's eyes shine. "Thank you. I'm not calling you, my name is Xiong Mei," the little girl said as she took Li Fan's clothes. "Oh, thank you, Xiong Mei." Li Fan winked at her. This name was really a pun. "Brother, you're so glib, be careful that I don't eat you." After saying that, the girl looked at Li Fan's stunned expression, smiled again and again, like a silver bell, and then skipped away. Li Fan was a little dumbfounded. This girl, what does she mean? He shook his head and put these things aside. He changed into a pair of shorts and a vest, and then walked out of the cabin. "Brother, when can we get to the land?" Li Fan planned to inform General Ran and the others to pick him up when he reached the shore. "The night after tomorrow, we'll go back." The captain pointed to the east. "We just came out a few days ago, and now we're going to cross the border to catch some fish." "Cross the border to catch fish?" Li Fan was a little surprised. "Wouldn't it be over if we get caught?" "There's no other way." The boatman sat on a chair and smoked his pipe. "There are almost no fish left in the fisheries in this area. Those bastards used to use the death net too much, so now everyone can only take the risk to go to the other side to catch fish. Aren't you afraid of being found? I'm afraid that I can't make money. I still have a family to support. The captain sighed. My eldest daughter is on this ship, and I have a boy under me. For that boy, my eldest daughter doesn't even go to school and fish with me to make money. I have a word. I don't know if I should say it. Li Fan's words made the captain stunned. What do you mean? Chapter 1208. The bosun does not know the meaning of this. He does not go to the net and fishes all day long. Every time he goes out, he will be out for about a month. If not for sending Li Fan off, the bosun would have to stay here for another month. They have a rule. They cannot go back empty-handed. Brother, you are valuing boys over girls. Li Fan looks at the bosun and wants to reprimand him. This kind of thinking is really scary. Since ancient times, the idea of valuing boys over girls in China is too serious. If it is Li Fan himself, he would like to have a daughter. Even if it is a girl, she can also practice martial arts and pass on martial arts to him. Little brother, you are not married yet, how would you know the difficulties of being the head of a family? The bosun sighs. If not for the fishing permit, our family would have starved to death. She is a good girl. It is a pity that she did not finish school. Li Fan felt a little regretful, but every family had their own difficulties. He couldn't care less, and he couldn't care less. However, this family is fated with him, so Li Fan still wants to contribute. How about this? You saved me, so I will thank you. After we reach the shore, I will thank you both. Use this money to send your daughter to school. Li Fan is kind, but the bosun waved his hand and rejected Li Fan's good intention. Saving people is my duty. How can I exchange my conscience for money? But, all right. Little brother, you're quite a busybody. You can stay on the boat for 2 days. I will send you to the port 2 days later. If you really want to be grateful, do more good deeds later. This bosun is an honest person. He does not want Li Fan's money no matter what. Compared to him, Li Fan felt that he was indeed a little stinking of money. He does not say anything else. He only stands at the bow and looks at the vast sea. Not far ahead is the fishing area of South Korea. Once they enter the fishing area, the bosun will be able to complete his mission. He even took out a South Korean flag and stuck it on the fishing boat to confuse others. Will this work? Li Fan still felt unsafe. In the past, he had always seen news of South Korea capturing Chinese fishermen. It's fine, don't worry. The captain seemed to be a regular customer. It's not like we're the only one here. There's nothing wrong. Li Fan looked to both sides and saw many fishing boats fishing nearby. Just by looking at the fishing boats, it was impossible to tell which was the Chinese fishing boat and which was the Korean fishing boat. But not long after, a South Korean fishing boat came into sight. It seemed to be patrolling. But the captain didn't care about him at all. He was following the radar and chasing the school of fish. What are you looking at? Smelling a delicate fragrance, Li Fan turned his head and saw that Xiong Meili had slipped to his side without him noticing. She was leaning on the railing and talking to him. This Xiong Meili had delicate features and a good figure. She was wearing a white blouse, and her breasts were half exposed, pressing against the railing. It was extremely alluring. As for her lower body, she was wearing light yellow cropped pants that wrapped around her beautiful long legs, revealing a youthful and healthy feeling. Li Fan hadn't tasted meat for a long time. He had been living like a monk in prison for a period of time. At this moment, Xiong Meili didn't hide her charm at all, making Li Fan a little greedy. When a flower blooms, it should be plucked. Don't wait until there are no flowers and there are only branches to pluck. A thought floated in Li Fan's mind, and he quickly extinguished it. Damn, why did I start to let my imagination run wild? Li Fan patted his face to calm himself down. Little brother? Xiong Meili saw that Li Fan was a little distracted and called out again. I'm just worried about our safety. Li Fan straightened up and explained. It's okay. We come here often. Also, when we fish nowadays, we follow the radar. The radar chases after the school of fish. Wherever the school of fish goes, we go. Sometimes when the school of fish comes here, we have to take the risk to come in. You can't risk your life to earn money. Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you if anything happens. Xiong Meili couldn't help but laugh. Listen to yourself. I'm not a gigolo. Hee hee, how can there be a gigolo as silly as you? Xiong Meili simply turned over and sat directly on the railing. Then she shook her little feet. After such a long time at sea, she had long been used to such a life and was very comfortable. Xiong Meili gently pressed down her hair that was blown by the sea breeze and hummed a fisherman's tune. Brother on the other side of the sea, do you know how much I miss you? Sister on the other side of the fishing boat, looking at the stars every day and night. On the day we return from the sea, you hold me, stepping on the beach. I hope that when the moon hides, I'll be panting in your ear. This little tune was so interesting that Li Fan was a little lost in thought while listening to it. It was okay at first, but the more he listened, the more he felt it was not right. When she sang the last two lines, she almost made Li Fan hard. What the hell? How did a good ballad turn into a dirty tune? Xiong Meili seemed to have gotten her way. She couldn't stop laughing and turned to run away. This girl? Li Fan shook his head repeatedly. She was poisonous. Li Fan turned around and continued to look at the vast sea. The sea breeze was very comfortable, with a little fishy smell. When it blew on Li Fan's face, it made Li Fan feel refreshed. He simply sat on the deck, closed his eyes, and began to contemplate his new move. Although the Fist of Seven Heroes was a very strong combat skill, the higher it went, the more perverted the opponents would be. It was time for a new generation of martial arts skills. The Dragon Lady had taught him a set of basic dragon fighting technique, and he modified it according to his own moves. When Li Fan closed his eyes, he also entered his own world of consciousness. This was also a peaceful sea of consciousness, but there was a little more content than usual. The flying lion goddess stood there, but the armor on her body had changed. Originally, her armor had a lion's head and a lion's pattern. But now, her armor had become the flying dragon armor, with a dragon's head and a dragon's body. It seemed that he had completely understood the dragon fighting technique, so the flying lion goddess had evolved into the flying dragon goddess? Other than the flying dragon goddess, Li Fan also felt that something was not right. He looked down. In this peaceful sea of consciousness, there was a reflection of himself. The sea of consciousness was very special. There was no reflection. But this time, there was a reflection. This was a little strange. Li Fan looked at his reflection in the sea of consciousness and seemed to understand something. This was the chosen one. He had already merged with him, so the reflection in the sea of consciousness should also be his reflection. Li Fan was about to study it when he suddenly felt as if someone was secretly touching him. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes and realized that the sky was already dark. The ship floated quietly on the sea, and the entire sky was reflected on the surface of the sea. Xiong Meili was in his arms, looking at him with a lustful smile. Chapter 1209. Xiong Meili was smiling in his arms. Her smile was full of lust. Her hand was still moving around his crotch. You're provoking me, little girl. Li Fan lowered his voice. He was a little afraid of waking up the captain. The other party saved his life. In the blink of an eye, he was going to have sex with the other party's daughter. Wasn't that a bit inappropriate? But, damn it, who's having sex with whom? Also, is this some kind of badger game? For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through Li Fan's mind. Badger game shouldn't be possible. He wanted to pay, but the captain didn't want it. Badger game and what not shouldn't be possible. Li Fan felt that he might be thinking too much. Maybe this little girl stayed in bed for too long and was a little horny. Cough cough, it's on the boat. Especially since spring hasn't passed and now is the season of estrus. It's understandable. Bah, estrus myas. Humans are not animals. Is there a season for estrus? Don't be afraid. I won't eat you. Xiong Meili winked at Li Fan. But when Li Fan was about to speak, Xiong Meili pressed her finger on his lips. Shoo, don't talk. Be careful not to wake my dad up. Xiong Meili said in Li Fan's ear, at that time, you won't be able to eat me. You're still young. Don't be afraid. It's not my first time. Xiong Meili said. She seemed to be a little impatient. Under the night sky, her hand slowly reached into Li Fan's pants. Li Fan didn't know why. Although this Xiong Meili was not a particularly beautiful woman, she had a unique charm that attracted him. Li Fan couldn't help but want to have something with this Miss Xiong Meili. Dark clouds slowly appeared in the sky. It was as if the stars were shy and were hiding behind the clouds. The small fishing boat swayed with the waves, but it didn't feel the special vibration. He thought that he could easily deal with this girl, but who would have thought that this girl would ask for it 6 or 7 times in a row? When the sky was about to brighten, the two of them hastily ended their battle. Xiong Meili licked her lips and looked at Li Fan as she put on her clothes. "Little brother, your stamina is not bad. I didn't misjudge you. I really dote on your future husband. I'm afraid he's going to die young." Li Fan could not help but sigh. "I won't marry anyone," Xiong Meili said without hesitation. "How happy it is to drift on the sea like this." "What a special hobby," Li Fan shook his head. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see through this woman. Just as Li Fan was pulling up his pants, the captain suddenly rushed out of the cabin. Li Fan was shocked. Was this a trap? "Little brother, quickly enter the cabin. The storm is coming." He didn't expect the captain to come out to warn him. He seemed to know his daughter's unique hobbies. He just glanced at her and didn't say anything. "I didn't expect them to come so quickly." Xiong Meili raised her head and glanced at the cloudy sky. It was supposed to be dawn, but the thick dark clouds made the sea look like it was still night. "Little brother, quickly come in and hide." Before the captain finished speaking, the storm came. Heavy rain poured down, setting off stormy waves on the surface of the sea. This small fishing boat seemed so insignificant on the sea at this moment. A monstrous wave directly lifted the boat up. Before Li Fan could react, he was directly swallowed by the sea. He tried to raise his elemental chi to save the captain and his daughter. But he didn't know why. At this moment, he felt his physical strength was empty. For a moment, he couldn't gather his elemental chi. He was a little flustered in the sea, not understanding what was happening. But at this moment, Li Fan saw Xiong Meili's figure. She swam freely in the sea like a mermaid. She swam in front of him and reached out to hold him. At the same time, she kissed Li Fan's lips. It was as if there was oxygen coming in from her mouth. But Li Fan's consciousness was out of control and slowly sank. Before the darkness enveloped him, Li Fan faintly heard Xiong Meili's voice. "In the future, don't ever come to East Sea again." Then, darkness completely enveloped him. When Li Fan woke up, he realized that he was lying on a hospital bed. He was surrounded by white walls. It was very abrupt. And a familiar figure was sitting in front of him, looking at him. It was Dragon Lady. "Why are you here? Before asking me, shouldn't you care about yourself first?" Dragon Lady curled her lips. "They found you at the port and said that you had been unconscious. I rushed over in a hurry, but I realized that you have quite a lot of luck with women." "What do you mean?" Li Fan was a little surprised. Could it be that Dragon Lady had discovered that he had a one-night stand with the young lady? Impossible, Dragon Lady wasn't there at that time. Even if she was omnipotent, it was impossible for her to see what happened thousands of miles away, right? Dragon Lady sniffed, still pretending. "You have dragon fragrance on you." "Dragon fragrance? What's that?" Li Fan was stunned when he heard that. After a dragon copulates, it will emit dragon fragrance. The dragon fragrance on your body is so strong. Obviously, you were pampered by a female dragon in heat, right? Female dragon? What a joke. Li Fan did not believe Dragon Lady at all. She might be lying to him. "Aren't you the last Dragon Lady? Since I'm alive, there might be other surviving dragons." According to her own analysis, Dragon Girl said, "They might be living as ordinary people or living in seclusion deep in the mountains and forests, reclusive. If you don't believe me, let me ask you. Did you lose your strength after copulating with a girl? Stop pretending. When you copulate with a dragon, your strength will be temporarily sucked away. It will take a short period of time to recover. This is a self-protection method of the dragon race. Because dragons are lascivious by nature, The men and women of the dragon race like to copulate everywhere. No matter what race the other party is, as long as they look pleasing to the eye, they will do it. In order to prevent the other party from attacking them after copulation, the dragon race uses this method to weaken the person they copulate with and ensure that they have a safe time to leave. Fuck? Did I really get fucked by a dragon? Li Fan wanted to cry, but no tears came out. No wonder that girl's desire was so strong. She had sucked him clean. Were those women really dragons? Then he was too lucky. He met 3 dragons in a row that others would never see in their entire lives. How was it? Copulating with a dragon, did it feel good? Dragon Lady asked again. There seemed to be some jealousy in her voice. This was the first time. When Li Fan was in the dojo, he also indulged in pleasure every night. Dragon Lady also did not care. To Dragon Lady, she probably had ownership over him. Right? That woman. She reminded me not to go to East Sea in the future. What's going on? Li Fan thought of the words he heard before he fainted and hurriedly asked. Chapter 12:10. Li Fan also did not expect that he would be able to spend a night with another dragon girl. It was said that dragons were lustful by nature and could sleep with anyone. Li Fan had seen it for himself. However, this dragon lady in front of him seemed to be an exception. She was only interested in eating and did not seem to have any pursuits in that area. However, Xiong Meili had warned him not to go to the East Sea in the future. What was going on? Li Fan felt a little confused. That goes without saying. The dragon lady curled her lips. The dragon you met should be in a pair with him. You slept with his wife, so he definitely won't let you off. Li Fan suddenly thought of that terrifying rainstorm. Could it be that guy's doing? Li Fan thought about it and could not help but feel a little scared. It seemed that this girl should not sleep around. No matter what, I'm back alive and well. Li Fan wiped his cold sweat. After I return, I'm going into seclusion to cultivate. That's up to you as long as you don't provoke other dragon ladies. Also, you should rest at home and don't go out and mess around. What's wrong? From your tone, it sounds like it's very serious? Li Fan looked at the dragon lady strangely. The dragon lady hesitated again and again, as if she was hiding something from Li Fan. Tell me, is there anything you can't tell me? All right, I'm worried about your life. My life? Aren't I alive and well? Li Fan was puzzled. What was wrong with the dragon lady today? She was always acting weird. I lied to you about some of the things I told you just now. Which? Dragons are lustful by nature? No, that's true. Then what's fake? The dragon clan can mate with other species, but not with humans. What do you mean? Racial discrimination? Discrimination my ass. In the past, when the dragon race was flourishing, there were dragon ladies who could not bear the loneliness and mated with human men. All the men who mated with dragon ladies died in the end. Are you kidding? Are humans so special? Humans have always been special, Dragon Lady explained. The bodies of dragon race women are different from ordinary human women. When they copulate, they will absorb a large amount of true essence as nourishment for reproduction. When a dragon lady and a human mate, they would definitely give birth to a dragon child. But it's just like the female praying mantis in the legends. The man gives his all and becomes the nutrition for the next generation. The female praying mantis eating the male praying mantis? That's pure nonsense. Whether it's nonsense or not, the logic is the same. I see that you are still alive and kicking, so I think that you might have survived by a fluke. Although I don't know what method you used, at least you survived. Li Fan could not stop his cold sweat. What the hell was this? Was he using his life to hook up? Otherwise, why do you think I've never felt anything for so many years? I put all my attention on eating so I can more or less make up for the gap in my feelings. Li Fan vaguely remembered that Dragon Lady did not care about the lives of humans, but she respected the laws of nature and never took the initiative to take the lives of others. This is probably a curse. Since ancient times, dragon ladies who fall in love with humans have a tragic fate. Usually, they will pursue whichever man they like. Then they copulate, and the man dies. After dragon ladies give birth, they will also die of a broken heart. Therefore, the elders in the clan explicitly forbid dragon ladies from having feelings for humans. What about dragon males? Li Fan asked. Dragon males do not suck people's essence. They are fooling around and nothing happens to them. No one cares. Dragon lady said angrily, as if she was very upset. She picked up the apple on the table beside her and took a big bite. Hey, that's my consolation prize. What's yours is mine. Dragon lady did not stand on ceremony at all. Anyway, be careful these 2 days. If there's anything wrong with your body, tell me immediately. If something really happens, do you have a way to save me? Li Fan said. After all, she was a dragon lady who had lived for thousands of years. She was quite reliable at critical times. No, I need to find the next successor in time. Dragon lady's words almost angered Li Fan to death. I didn't want to tell you at first, afraid that you would panic. But you just had to ask. Humans are too curious. Hey, is it me who wants to ask? It's clearly your expression. Anyone would be curious, okay? This apple is quite delicious. Do you want to eat it? Li Fan was a little speechless. This woman, she was killing him. Fine. I can't afford to offend you, but I can hide. I'm fine. Go back to G City and prepare for seclusion. Okay, you haven't been back for so long. Everyone misses you. Especially Xiao Ai. She blames herself and keeps saying that she will find a way to make it up to you. It has nothing to do with her. She was just used by the royal guards. Li Fan sneered. When I come out of seclusion, it will be the death of the royal guards. That's not a good idea. They are from an official family. So what if they are from an official family? Don't look down on me, Li Fan. Li Fan had already started to have crooked thoughts. Just watch and see how I completely disintegrate the Imperial Army. Okay, as you wish. Eat the apple. Dragon lady stuffed an apple into Li Fan's mouth. Li Fan returned to the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School safely. With General Rand's protection, no one dared to touch the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School. Di Wuliang, who had been promoted to a minister cadre, wanted to make trouble for the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School many times. However, the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School was well protected by General Rand's troops, so he had no chance to make a move. He watched Li Fan swagger into the martial arts school and gnashed his teeth in anger. Fortunately, Lord Sima was wise and did not blame him for Li Fan's escape. But recently, Lord Sima is also under great pressure. One Murong Bo, one Li Fan, both of them are thorns in his eyes. If he still wanted to climb up, he naturally had to help him pull out these 2 poisonous thorns. Li Fan was Di Wuliang's first target. Even if he had to use all his tricks, he would turn Li Fan into ashes. While Di Wuliang was plotting against Li Fan, he did not know that Li Fan was also plotting against him at the same time. At this time, Li Fan had already started his seclusion training. But not long after, the martial arts world in Ji City suffered a disaster. Young Master Zhanggua, who had a new leg, finally invited the strongest man from the Takeda family in Japan, Takeda Tsuyoshi. The hidden chess piece that Jiang Feng had set up that day finally began to play its role today. Young Master, bad news. Just as Zhanggua was fantasizing about how to beat up Li Fan and take back Lu Wanwan, his bodyguard ran in with a panicked expression, startling a beautiful girl who was sitting on Zhanggua and moving up and down. What's wrong? Say it. Zhanggua was a little annoyed. What if he was disturbed at such a crucial time? Young Master? Mr. Takeda, he's gone. Chapter 12:11. This was Takeda's second visit to China. The last time he came here was about 20 years ago. At that time, he was not the strongest in the island. He followed his master to Huaxia and experienced the martial arts world of Huaxia. In the past, Takeda was also very hot-tempered. To him, the Chinese martial arts world was not worth mentioning. They were just a group of sick men of East Asia. But at that time, he met a guy with the surname Murong. This man, who was about the same age as him, had actually defeated his master. Takeda's arrogant and willful mentality was immediately impacted. He obediently returned to Japan and began to cultivate in seclusion. He only had one goal in mind, and that was to return to Huaxia and defeat the Huaxia experts of the past. Previously, when someone came over and told him that there was a young man in China who had defeated an unparalleled expert, Takeda only smiled and did not take it to heart. He had also been through that age, so he knew the indulgence of that age. Moreover, in Jianghu, the wind was the rain. China's martial arts world was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. How could a young man be invincible in the world? Later on, there were rumors that this young man had defeated the villa master of Murong Villa. Takeda could no longer sit still. He immediately accepted the invitation and went to Huaxia. Takeda Tsuyoshi was wearing a loose white martial arts suit. It was the end of spring and the beginning of summer in City G. The weather was already a bit hot. Wearing wooden clogs, he walked on the streets of City G. Looking at the bustling market, he was not used to living in seclusion on Mount Fuji all year round. Takeda walked like a dragon or a tiger, stepping on the wooden clogs. His footsteps produced a clattering sound. He took 2 or 3 steps forward, grabbed a pedestrian's arm, and asked, "Excuse me, how do I get to the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School?" Takeda's Chinese was very stiff, but it was understandable. "How would I know? Go Baidu yourself." The pedestrian was also a foreigner. There were many foreigners in City G. It was not easy to find someone who was familiar with the way. "Baidu? What's that?" Takeda kept his hands in his sleeves, unable to understand for a long time. Fortunately, there was a traffic police watchtower not far away. When Takeda Tsuyoshi saw this, he was overjoyed and immediately walked over. A woman's scream came from the street next to them. A Toyota Prado, like crazy, rushed directly to the sidewalk next to it and hit a woman pushing a stroller. The surrounding people were so scared that they closed their eyes, afraid to see a bloody scene. At this moment, Takeda's body suddenly brought along a gust of wind. In an instant he arrived in front of the Toyota. Then, he raised his right foot high and ruthlessly struck the hood of the car. Boom! The Toyota SUV, which was charging over, paused for a moment. The front of the car caved in, and the rear of the car was lifted more than half a meter high before landing heavily on the ground. It stopped there, and the deformed front of the car was still emitting black smoke. A drunk driver in his 30s, who was drunk like a dog, pushed open the car door, pointed at Takeda, and cursed. "Motherfucker, you stinking idiot, do you know how much my car costs?" Takeda ignored him. He squatted in front of the stroller and looked at the chubby baby in the stroller, laughing and teasing him. "Come, smile for grandpa." The baby kept laughing and seemed to like Takeda very much. Seeing that Takeda gang was ignoring him, the drunk driver stepped forward to tear Takeda gang apart. At this time, the traffic police had rushed over, subdued the driver, and pressed him to the ground. "What are you doing? Do you know who I am?" This man shouted loudly, and a traffic police came over and expressed his gratitude to Takeda. Although he didn't know how this old man did it, he did prevent a tragedy from happening. "Let me ask you something." Takeda looked at the traffic police very seriously. "What is Baidu?" The traffic police was surprised, thinking, why did this foreign friend ask this? That's a search engine. What is a search engine? Takeda lived in seclusion in Mount Fuji all year round, so he didn't know anything about computers. This? A search tool. What's the matter? "Oh, I want to find the 7 Xia Martial Arts School. They told me to Baidu." Takeda took the opportunity to inquire. 7 Xia Martial Arts School? It should be on the same street as the martial arts school. The traffic police took out a tourist map out of nowhere and pointed. "There are many martial arts schools on this street. You can go here." "Thank you." Takeda bowed to the traffic police, and the traffic police also gave him the map. "I still have something to deal with. You can take your time." The drunk driver was still shouting loudly. "Do you know who I am? If you dare to touch me, believe it or not, I will peel off your skin." The traffic police smiled and said as he stuffed the man into the police car. Right now, I really want to know who you are. Take him away, let him sober up. These people escorted the drunk driver away, leaving 2 traffic police to deal with the scene. Takeda took the map and continued to look for his 7 Xia martial arts school. But this famous martial artist of the island was actually lost. When Takeda was busy looking for the martial arts school, a guest came to Li Fan's side. A Japanese woman was sitting in the hall of the martial arts school, waiting to meet Li Fan. She was about 20 years old, with long black hair, beautiful facial features, bright eyes and white teeth, making her lovable. She was wearing a sapphire blue knitted sweater with a white undershirt inside. She was wearing black wide-legged pants, revealing her fair ankles and a pair of clean sneakers. This woman seemed to be a little nervous, as if there was something urgent. After Li Fan came in, she immediately stood up and respectfully bowed to Li Fan, scaring Li Fan. How could there be such etiquette in China? Mr. Li, nice to meet you. Hello, I am Takeda Lon. Takeda? Li Fan had just come out of closed-door training not long ago. He only heard that a girl was looking for him, but he didn't expect it to be someone from the Takeda family. Mr. Li, although it's a little rude, I'll come straight to the point. Please leave City G. Huh? When Li Fan heard this, he almost laughed out loud. This beautiful woman turned out to be a lunatic? Mr. Li, don't misunderstand, I am not driving you away, I just hope that you can leave. This Takeda Lan's Chinese was not bad, judging from her voice, it was almost impossible to tell that she was a Japanese. But her style and attitude still had the demeanor of a Japanese. Li Fan sat on the chair, picked up the tea prepared by Jiang Yi and asked slowly, "What, is there going to be an earthquake in G City?" Mr. Li, don't misunderstand, I have no evil intentions. Takeda Lan kept explaining. Chapter 12:12. Takeda Lan desperately tries to explain to Li Fan, but Li Fan mutters in his heart, Takeda Lan, this name is too close to Takeda Lan. Looking at this beauty in front of him, if she goes down to the sea, she will probably have a lot of fans. However, with the Takeda family background, she will not fall to that step, it is a bit regretful. This person of mine is like this. If you want me to hide, I will not hide. Mr. Li, how can you be like this? I am doing this for your own good. Takeda Lan is a bit anxious. My grandfather is coming soon, he is here to defeat you. This will be a tragedy for both Huaxia and Japan's martial arts world. Li Fan chuckles as he fiddles with the teacup. Why do you say so? My grandfather is Japan's #1 expert. He has always hoped to defeat China's experts. Now that he has come out, he will definitely sweep China's martial arts. Moreover, the Takeda family has already made preparations. After you are defeated, they will attack China's martial arts world in one go, defeating all the Chinese experts. In other words, Japan's martial arts world wants to destroy China's martial arts world. Then why did you come here to tell me, aren't you a spy? How can you be like this? I came to remind you out of goodwill, but you want to ridicule me? My goodwill is taken as ill intent. Then I really have to thank Miss Takeda. Li Fan casually says, first of all, China's martial arts world, it is not Japan's turn to make a move. Secondly, how do you know that I will lose? Although she does not understand the meaning of Li Fan's first sentence, but Takeda Lan can still understand the second sentence. My grandfather is a top expert. You are so young, how can you defeat him? Don't speak so early, we will only know after we fight. Li Fan lightly taps his fingers. Perhaps you have good intentions, but don't look down on China's men. I, Li Fan, am a martial artist. Anyone who challenges me, I will accept. Don't say that your grandfather is only an expert of the Takeda family, even if he is a Daluo golden immortal. When he comes here, I will also treat him with fists and feet. Unreasonable. Takeda Lan angrily stands up. Looks like I really did something unnecessary today. Goodbye. With that, the woman walked out of the door. Don't say that. I'm still very grateful to you. Why don't you stay for dinner? Putting aside the martial arts world of the two countries, We can still talk about other friendly things, such as the relationship between a man and a woman. Rascal! Teda Lon stood at the door, turned around and glared fiercely at Li Fan. By the way, I'm a nurse. I'm working at G University's orthopedic hospital. I'm waiting to help you set your bones. After saying that, the nurse turned around and left. Li Fan, on the other hand, was very happy. This little girl was quite fun to play with. However, Takeda had just come to challenge him, which was interesting. Li Fan had also heard of Takeda's name. It was said that he was the #1 martial artist in Japan. As for how strong it was, Li Fan had no idea. But no matter how strong he was, he couldn't possibly be a martial saint, right? To be honest, in Li Fan's heart, he really did not take the martial arts world of Japan seriously. Right now, he was worried about something else. The Dragon Lady had said that if a man had sex with the Dragon Lady, she would definitely give birth to a son. Although the pregnancy period was very long, it could be 10 or even 20 years. Didn't that mean that 1 year in the future, he would suddenly have another child? Becoming a father. He was helping someone else to become a father. That Xiong Mei's husband would hate him so much. No wonder she had warned him not to go to the East Sea. Li Fan felt that he was about to become the public enemy of the country. However, before that, there was one more thing that Li Fan had to deal with. The matter of the royal guards had to be settled as soon as possible. That night, an invitation was sent to Di Wuliang's hands. Di Wuliang looked at the invitation in his hands and frowned. It was an invitation. It invited Di Wuliang to attend a banquet at Li Fan's martial arts center that night. It was written politely. It said that there was a misunderstanding with the royal guards. It hoped that the person in charge of the royal guards in City G, Officer Zhai, could forgive him. Therefore, he specially held a banquet in hopes that Officer Zhai would do him the honor. There were many provinces and cities in China. The branches of the royal guards were also divided according to their ranks. The executive of each province was at the rank of a sergeant. The person in charge of each city was at the rank of a minister. Di Wuliang had achieved many miracles and climbed all the way to this position. However, in terms of rank, he was still a head lower than Li Fan. This was an invitation from his superior. If he did not go, it would not be good. However, what was Li Fan thinking? Did he really want to be on good terms with the royal guards? How was that possible? He had offended Li Fan many times. How forgiving did he have to be in order to forgive him? However, if it was an open and above-board matter, he should not dare to do anything to him. He was a minister-level officer and had a high status in the royal guards. If Li Fan wanted to do anything to him, he would have to think twice. "Sir, are we going tonight?" One of Di Wuliang's subordinates, Huang Jie, asked from the side. He was one of Di Wuliang's sworn brothers in the imperial army, and he served as Di Wuliang's right-hand man. Huang Jie's greatest strength was that he was good at flattering people. Sometimes, it was quite comfortable for Di Wuliang. Once a person had power, he would want someone to flatter him. Even the quick-witted Di Wuliang was no exception after gaining power and influence. "I'm thinking about it." "Sir, your wisdom is unparalleled and you have eyes and ears everywhere. Why are you afraid of Li Fan?" Huang Jie tried his best to flatter Di Wuliang. "I think that Li Fan saw that you have been promoted to a minister-level officer. Is that why he wants to curry favor with you? What nonsense are you talking about? Li Fan is the imperial sword. This position is high and mighty in China. Even if Lord Sima saw him, he would have to call him officer. Didn't you help Lord Sima to send him to prison? China is a country ruled by law. We only locked him up because we had something on him. But as you can see, just a few days later, he swaggered out and completely destroyed the heavenly prison. Because of this, Lord Sima flew into a rage and said that he would be irreconcilable with Li Fan. Sir, in this world, who can escape from your schemes? Huang Jie continued to flatter, I admire your wisdom. If I had 1/10 of your intelligence, I would have been successful long ago. Huang Jie knew how to flatter and he could always do it just right. To deal with Li Fan, it is not enough to just have wisdom. But you must also work hard. Follow me and learn from me. It will be good for you. Yes. Following, sir, even if I can get a little bit of talent, it will be very beneficial to me. Don't always flatter me. I don't fall for it. That's right. Sir is upright and outspoken. You never accept flattery from others. On this point, other leaders cannot compare to you. They should all learn from you. That's right. Chapter 12:13. Di Wuliang thought about it again and again. In the end, he decided to go. Li Fan was his boss. He had no choice but to go. However, Di Wuliang wouldn't go for nothing. He had already arranged 20 thugs to lurk around the martial arts school, waiting for his orders. Once there was any danger, they would immediately charge in and risk their lives to protect their master, saving him. Moreover, if Li Fan dared to make a move on him, then he would be lawless. He could also use this method to arrest Li Fan again. What's the big deal about the Shangfang sword? Even the country's leader can't casually break the law. On the surface, China was still a country ruled by law. Di Wuliang also brought 3 guards with him. They accompanied him into Li Fan's 7 Heroes martial arts school. It was around 8 o'clock in the evening. The ordinary students in the martial arts school had already gone back. The remaining advanced students were also resting. A banquet was already prepared in the living room. Only Li Fan and Imperial concubine Zhou were sitting there, waiting for Di Wuliang. Hey, little Zhai. Li Fan looked at the 3 guards behind Di Wuliang and couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you being too careful? Why do you have to bring 3 subordinates for a meal? Are you afraid that I'll harm you? Li Fan used words to push him, but Di Wuliang's expression didn't change. He cupped his hands at Li Fan, safety first. Sorry for making you laugh. Come, little Zhai. Don't be polite. Sit down and eat. Li Fan reached out his hand. Make it your own home. I'm sorry for making you spend so much money. Di Wuliang sat down in a relaxed manner. However, he was still muttering in his heart. This Li Fan was obviously younger than him, but he still called him little Zhai. It was really annoying. However, he was an officer. It didn't matter if he called him that. Come, little Zhai. This is the Moutai that I snatched from General Ran. Li Fan picked up a bottle of white wine and pretended to pour it. Drinking white wine was different from drinking beer. Mug after mug of beer, he emptied the bottle when he was impatient. However, white wine had to be tasted, so the wine glasses in front of the 3 of them were all small wine glasses. They were exquisite and unique, and each glass was less than 1 tael. He was just right. Not only could he enjoy the taste of good wine, but he wouldn't drink too much and burn his stomach. You and our imperial concubine Zhou also have some misunderstanding. Let's drink a cup of wine today. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Li Fan didn't have time to pour the wine for Di Wuliang, and Di Wuliang quickly stopped Li Fan. Ayaya, you are the leader. How can I let you pour wine for a little subordinate like me? Moreover, white wine is harmful to the liver. If you drink too much, it won't be good for your body. A while ago, I got a few bottles of Royal Salute from overseas. Although it's not a particularly high-class bar, it's definitely authentic. Xiao Huang, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and pour wine for the leader. What do I usually teach you? Hey, he's here. Huang Jie, who was standing at the side, heard this and walked over with an exquisite bottle of Royal Salute in his hand. Leader, have a taste of this. Di Wuliang's words were polite, but in fact, Li Fan knew what he was thinking. This kid was really sneaky. He even brought his own wine. When it was time to eat later, if this kid took out some chicken feet or pig trotters from his pocket, that would be really amazing. However, Di Wuliang was still too inexperienced. I think it's better to drink white wine. Li Fan pretended to be very regretful. Di Wuliang quickly picked up the Royal Salute personally and was about to pour wine for Li Fan. This small wine cup is suitable for drinking white wine. Li Fan emphasized. It's fine, leader. I've prepared everything for you. Di Wuliang ordered the guard to take out a few clean goblets. Not bad, the preparation was really complete. Even the goblets had to be used from his own. It was really safety first. Li Fan couldn't stop Di Wuliang. Di Wuliang had already poured wine for the 3 of them. Xiao Di, how about this? Why don't we not eat this meal? Did you also bring your own? Li Fan sneered and asked. Leader, don't be angry. I'm just letting you drink some good wine. I can't even bear to drink these bottles of royal salute myself. I specially brought them to show my filial piety to you. Besides, the focus today is not on eating. I'm also drinking to apologize to you. I've brought enough wine. Today, I'll drink as much as the leader wants me to drink. How about this? I'll punish myself with a bottle first. As he spoke, he grabbed a bottle of royal salute and stuffed it into his mouth. Di Wuliang drank the bottle of red wine in a few gulps and then wiped his mouth. Leader, I'll drink. You can do as you please. Forget it. Xiao Di is just following orders. Imperial concubine Zhou sat next to him. Her voice was a little elegant. It seemed that she was speaking up for Di Wuliang. Let's not make things difficult for him. In the future, we'll all be in the same territory. We can't help each other. Yes. Imperial concubine Zhou is right. After all, he's a martial arts master. His realm is indeed different. I toast you. As he spoke, Huang Jie had already cleverly filled his cup with wine. Di Wuliang didn't hesitate and drank the entire cup. After he finished, he turned the cup upside down. It was empty. There wasn't a single drop of wine. All right, sit down. Let's drink and talk. Li Fan could only sigh and sit down. Di Wuliang heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed that he had blocked Li Fan's plan. However, the drinking session was still going on. He still had to be more careful. He didn't want to fall into Li Fan's trap. This brat looked young and harmless, but he was actually very black-bellied. The three of them toasted each other and drank quite a bit. However, Di Wuliang was also a person with a high alcohol tolerance. Moreover, he had the dragon chip to strengthen his body. A little bit of alcohol was nothing to him. However, halfway through the drinking session, Di Wuliang felt that Imperial concubine Zhou, who was sitting opposite him, was very beautiful. Why was this woman as beautiful as a painting? Her bright eyes and white teeth made people want to take a bite out of her. Beautiful, really too beautiful. This kind of woman, sleeping with her for a night would be worth it even if I had to live 10 years less. This Bradley fan really had good luck with women. This woman, why was she like a fairy, that pair of long legs, white and straight? I really want to carry them and go to her mysterious place to play. Why was she smiling at me? Could it be that she had taken a fancy to me and wanted to spend a night with me? Most likely, this Bradley fan's lower body wasn't good enough to satisfy this imperial concubine. Imperial concubine, come, let me toast you. Di Wuliang stood up and walked in front of Imperial concubine Zhou. He held the wine cup. There was a misunderstanding before. I hope you don't mind. How could I? It's all in the past. Imperial concubine Zhou stretched out her small white hand and also held the wine cup. Her face was slightly flushed. She gently pulled down her collar. This wine is a bit hot. Chapter 12:14. Di Wuliang's eyes were hooked as he stared at Imperial concubine Zhou's chest. He felt that his body was burning hot and his lower body was already puffing out his chest. Why are you looking at this consort like this? Do you want to eat this consort? Imperial concubine Zhou's words were like a bolt from the blue. Di Wuliang couldn't bear it anymore. He threw himself onto Imperial concubine Zhou's body and tore her clothes. At the same time, he kissed Imperial concubine Zhou's red lips. Good boy. Li Fan was furious. He stood up and sent Di Wuliang flying with a kick. Although Di Wuliang was a master of the prime minister level, how could he withstand Li Fan's kick? He was directly kicked upside down, like a kite with a broken string. With a bang, he hit the wall behind him like a hanging picture, unable to get down for a long time. Motherfucker, I entertained you well. How dare you have ideas about my woman? Li Fan's figure was like a bolt of lightning. In an instant he arrived in front of Di Wuliang. He stretched out his hand and with a few cracking sounds, Di Wuliang's arms and legs were broken. Di Wuliang let out a blood-curdling screech and lay limply on the ground. He had turned into a cripple. That bit of heat in his body had disappeared. Now, all that was left was incomparable pain and fear. Sir Li, you can't. The surrounding guards were also stunned. Everything happened too fast. Just a moment ago, he was witty and cautious. How did he suddenly become a pervert? In the blink of an eye, Di Wuliang was crippled by Li Fan. He was lying on the ground with tears streaming down his face. Huang Jie stood at the side and didn't say a word. Another guard foolishly stepped forward to stop him. However, he was slapped away by Li Fan. Motherfucker, how dare you rape a woman? Even if I kill you, it would be a light punishment. You have to help this consort. Imperial concubine Zhou wiped her tears. If those who knew Imperial concubine Zhou saw this, they would definitely be shocked. Bang! At this moment, the door was suddenly kicked open. Dozens of royal guards rushed in with weapons in hand. Li Fan was not surprised at all. Instead, he clapped his hands in excitement. You've come just in time. Capture this guy for me. Li Fan pointed at Di Wuliang, who was lying on the ground. These royal guards were all stunned. What was going on? It seemed to be different from what they had agreed on. This brat dares to molest my woman. I crippled him. If it wasn't for me abiding by the law, I would have killed him long ago. You guys, capture him. Imperial concubine Zhou, don't cry. Don't you have a lawyer? Call him, I want to sue this bastard. He must be punished by the law. The surrounding people looked at Li Fan cursing there and did not dare to step forward. Di Wuliang was crippled, and the situation had changed. They had no way of controlling the situation, and they were a little stunned. Before they could react, police sirens sounded outside. Obviously, someone had called the police. The royal guards were like a group of dragons without a leader. The police came and went quickly. Soon, Di Wuliang was taken away. The rest of the royal guards could only follow them and leave, but Li Fan stopped Huang Jie. What's your name? Li Fan asked Huang Jie. Replying to Lord, this little one is Huang Jie. Huang is in Huang, outstanding Jie. Oh, the meaning of a hero among men. Good name. Li Fan gestured. Jiang Yi walked out from an unknown corner and closed the door. At the same time, she walked over and searched Huang Jie's body before taking away his phone. Huang Jie was a little confused. He was slightly frightened. Huang Jie, do you want to be promoted and get rich? Li Fan retracted the anger on his face. He suddenly became very calm and asked the royal guards in front of him. I don't understand, there are no outsiders here. Everyone can speak frankly. Li Fan looked at Huang Jie and said seriously, there is no need for me to joke with a pawn. Let me ask you, do you want to be promoted and get rich? Of course I do. It's good that you do. Li Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. Right now, there is a road to promotion and get rich for you. Let's see how you choose. Choose? Yes, one is to be promoted and get rich. The other is to die without a complete corpse. Li Fan's words were like a dagger that pierced deeply into Huang Jie's heart, causing him to shiver. That Di Wuliang has some weight. But you are just a pawn. Even if you disappear from the face of the earth, the royal guards would not care. Lord, you are right. I'm just a pawn. Please don't kill me and dirty your hands. Huang Jie immediately cried. He did not want to die. He had not lived a good life. What are you crying for? Isn't there still a road to promotion and get rich? Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. I am a very democratic person. Isn't this giving you a chance to choose? Is there a choice? Huang Jie was already well aware of it. Lord, if you have anything to say, just say it. This little one promises to do it. Di Wuliang is already crippled. Li Fan said. He tried his best but was still unable to escape from the palm of my hand. He thought that I would not dare to touch him. What a joke. Who does he think he is? Even if I really kill him, Sima Hui would not dare to do anything to me. You are a pawn and he is a big pawn. If he dies, Sima Hui would at most give him a pension. Huang Jie also understood the logic behind these words. To Sima Hui, Di Wuliang was just a small pawn. Keeping him alive could allow him to cross the river. Even if he died, it was not worth it. As for himself, he had no value at all. Di Wuliang is done for, but you have a chance to climb up. Li Fan said, "In my hands, I can provide you with a few escort routes. Find a chance to investigate it and exchange it for a road to promotion." These few escort routes were not used by Li Fan. It was good to exchange them for some benefits. After all, waste could be reused. He only needed to send a few clever escorts over to take a look. "Helping me like this, what do you want from me?" "I want you to be my informant." Li Fan said, "The royal army is a thorn in my side, but as a government department, I have no way to uproot them. Therefore, I need an informant to constantly provide me with insider information about the royal army, so that I will not be blind." Why do you like me?" Huang Jie was a little panicked, but at the same time he felt an inexplicable excitement. "Because you are very greedy." Li Fan said truthfully, "I see a strong desire in your eyes. This is the driving force of human progress. Therefore I need you. How about it, as long as you help me, you can be promoted and get rich. If you don't help me, even if I don't kill you, you will only be a cannon fodder in the royal army. Sooner or later, you will be sacrificed. Therefore choose." Chapter 12:15. The reason why Li Fan chose to instigate Huang Jie to defect was because he had suffered several times due to the lack of information. Whether it was Imperial Consort Zhou's disappearance or Murong's search for her daughter, they were all caused by Di Wuliang. As the saying goes, it's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. He had to plant an informant in the Imperial Army to help him find out key information. It was probably impossible to instigate the higher-ups of the Imperial Army. But it was much easier for a pawn like Huang Jie. They had no sense of loyalty to the Imperial Army. Most of them were just trying to make a living. As long as he threw the bait, they would obediently take the bait. Li Fan was not afraid that Huang Jie would betray him. Even if he did, Li Fan would not lose anything. It was just losing a pawn. But for Huang Jie, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as he was smart, he would seize this opportunity. Sure enough, as Li Fan expected, Huang Jie agreed to Li Fan's instructions and went back happily. Di Wuliang tried his best but still failed to escape from Li Fan's trap. In fact, Li Fan's plan was the skinny man's rotten idea. Previously, Li Fan racked his brains and did not know how to deal with Di Wuliang. The skinny man inadvertently mentioned using a honey trap, but it was directly rejected by Li Fan. Which of his own women was willing to be used as bait? But Imperial Consort Zhou later took the initiative to volunteer. This famous Imperial Consort Zhou, in addition to being proficient in divine martial arts, also learned some bewitching techniques. With the help of a little alcohol, a unique aura, and a little psychological suggestion, she could make a man go crazy for her. This bewitching technique was not new. Most of it had the effect of hypnosis. For people like Di Wuliang, he was very vigilant. But a little alcohol and confidence could make him put down all his defenses. Di Wuliang was too conceited. He believed that there was a problem with the wine. This was right, he guessed correctly. However, what Li Fan used was a series of tricks. Even if he changed the wine, as long as he touched the alcohol and looked into Imperial Concubine Zhou's eyes, as well as some psychological hints from Imperial Concubine Zhou, he would be able to completely destroy all of his psychological defenses. By the time he woke up, he had already been crippled by Li Fan. Li Fan didn't kill him because not dying was more painful than dying. Di Wuliang went back and stayed in the hospital for a while. Just as he recovered a little, his dragon chip was destroyed and he was thrown into the detention center. The court charged him with attempted rape, and the process went very quickly. The evidence was irrefutable. There was a camera in the living room that captured everything. Moreover, the food at the scene had also been tested, and there were no aphrodisiacs. Di Wuliang was in despair as he was locked up in the detention center. He knew that no matter how hard he tried, he still fell into Li Fan's trap. He was already a useless chess piece. Sima Hui probably wouldn't save him. He would just wait for him to slowly die from the stench in prison. Go, squat beside the toilet. There was a leader in every cell, who was in charge of the entire cell. He slept in the best bed, but let Di Wuliang squat beside the toilet to sleep. Di Wuliang's hands and feet were crippled, and he was no different from a disabled person. Even if he wanted to fight, he didn't have the ability. A wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Di Wuliang squatted beside the toilet, enduring the stench, and tried to keep himself optimistic and not completely desperate. Once he was completely desperate, there would really be no chance for a comeback. A prisoner just stood up and stood next to Di Wuliang. He took off his pants and began to pee. The stench almost made Di Wuliang vomit. Especially since the urine was everywhere, some of it splashed on Di Wuliang's body. "Clean it." After the prisoner finished peeing, he kicked Di Wuliang to remind him. Di Wuliang endured his anger and began to clean the toilet. At this time, the door of the detention center opened. Generally speaking, if there were guests in the detention center, the prisoner would definitely be asked to go to the reception room. But this time was an exception. Huang Jie, wearing an Imperial Guard uniform, walked into the detention center. Seeing him, Di Wuliang's eyes flashed with the light of hope. "Ayaya, isn't this Lord Di? Why are you cleaning the toilet?" Huang Jie looked at Di Wuliang and covered his nose, as expected of Lord Di. "Even in the detention center, you are still so diligent. You are truly a role model. Are you here to humiliate me?" Di Wuliang's conscience was completely cold. He looked at Huang Jie with the appearance of a villain intoxicated by success. "How could that be? Back then, it was Lord Di who promoted me. In my heart, I am filled with gratitude towards Lord Di. As a matter of fact, Lord Sima has given the order. No one else came, but I personally came to pass the message to Lord Di. I am afraid that Lord Di doesn't know about it. Then I will have to trouble you." Di Wuliang sneered. "How could that be? This is what I should do." It was not in vain to work under Lord Di. Huang Jie said in a strange tone, and then told Di Wuliang about Sima Hui's order. Lord Sima said to properly reform here and strive to be released as soon as possible. Although you did something wrong and tarnished the organization's reputation. But considering your meritorious service, you were given 100,000 yuan as a pension. But after a lot of effort, I found that Lord Di doesn't have any relatives. So, I'll keep the money for you for now, Master Zhai. It's only 100,000 yuan. You can keep it to spend. Di Wuliang sighed. "Actually, I have a younger brother. During the time I was in the Imperial Army, I also earned some money. It's about 1,000,000 yuan. In order to save a way out for myself, I exchanged it for gold and hid it. I don't think I have the time to come out. Help me tell him to dig out the gold and buy some property for himself. When I get out, I will have something to do." Sigh, Lord Di is really far-sighted. Huang Jie was a little excited. "Lord Di, this gold? Where did you hide it? There are too many people here. Come closer." Di Wuliang lowered his voice, and Huang Jie immediately moved his ear closer. At this moment, Di Wuliang suddenly became ruthless and bit off Huang Jie's ear. Huang Jie held the bloody side of his face and screamed in pain. The other prisoners in the prison were also shocked. This kid was too ruthless. "Ha! You deserve it. You deserve it. Huang Jie, who the hell do you think you are? Without me, you're just a pile of dog shit." Di Wuliang laughed heartily with his mouth full of blood. He looked at Huang Jie and cursed to his heart's content. "Di Wuliang, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit." Huang Jie endured the pain. He wanted to kill Di Wuliang, but the prison guards had already rushed in. They subdued Di Wuliang on the spot and pressed him to the side of the toilet. "Just you wait. I will let you know that without you, I, Huang Jie, can still get promoted and get rich. Kid, you're bragging. I'm waiting to visit your grave." Di Wuliang's throat-tearing curses could be faintly heard. Chapter 12:16. The problem with the royal guards had been solved for now. Di Wuliang was a very good opponent, but also a very scary one. After Li Fan got him off the stage, he felt much more at ease. The newly appointed Prime Minister of City Ji was also very careful. He knew that Li Fan was not someone to be trifled with. No one wanted to end up like Di Wuliang. Li Fan had achieved the effect he wanted. He was notorious now. Everyone in the royal guards avoided him when they saw him. But while some people avoided him, some people came to find him. It was said that all the martial arts clubs in City G had been in trouble recently. An old man from Japan had been challenging them. He said that he was looking for Li Fan's 7 Heroes Martial Arts Club, but he ended up challenging all the other martial arts clubs. These martial arts clubs were about to cry. It was really humiliating to be challenged by an old man from Japan. Someone from a martial arts club offered to drive the old man to the 7 Heroes Martial Arts Club, but the old man refused. Takeda was also angry. How could he not find the 7 Heroes Martial Arts Club? He was not a direction idiot. He would definitely find it. Anyway, Li Fan heard that several martial arts clubs in Foshan had been challenged by Takeda. What? Sick? Li Fan was training several disciples in the martial arts club when he suddenly received a call from Lu Xiaowan. Zhao Yingjun was hospitalized. It had only been a few days since school started. How did he end up in the hospital? Xiaohu, take good care of them. I'm going out. Since one of his roommates was in the hospital, Li Fan had to go and see him. He told his eldest disciple to look after the house, and then left the house. Li Fan didn't like to take a car. As a martial artist, he preferred to do what he preached. He walked to the orthopedic hospital. With his leg strength, the 1-hour journey was shortened to 20 minutes. It was not good to go there empty-handed, so Li Fan bought some fruits downstairs and went upstairs to visit Zhao Yingjun. It was human nature to grow old and die of illness. Therefore, the hospitals in this big city almost never had a moment to rest. Li Fan entered the hospital. There was an endless stream of people coming and going to see the doctor and register. The smell of disinfectant entered his nose, and his ears were filled with the cries of family members. Li Fan didn't like this place very much. Although the hospital was a place to treat the sick and save people, there was always an atmosphere of despair. Li Fan carried the fruits up to the 3rd floor and arrived at Zhao Yingjuan's ward. It was said to be a ward, but in fact it was not a ward at all. In the corridor of the hospital, there was a bed. Zhao Yingjuan's arm was in a cast, and he was lying on the bed in a daze. Li Fan had come, but he didn't know. He seemed to be sleeping soundly. "Second brother, you're here?" Wang Yang and Xiang were both there. When the two of them saw Li Fan, their eyes lit up. "Why are you sleeping here?" Li Fan couldn't help but frown when he saw the environment. "There's no other way. It's overcrowded, so I can only set up a bed outside." The boss sighed. "This is not bad. Many people can't even make it to the hospital bed. We only managed to squeeze out a bed because we were in a hurry for an operation. We just finished the operation and had a steel plate, so the anesthesia hasn't worn off yet." "How did this happen?" Li Fan asked. "Why did his arm break all of a sudden? Did someone beat him up? I'm going to take revenge for third brother." No one beat him up." Xiang's face was red, and he was too embarrassed to say it. Wang Yang explained at the side, and Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was leaning on the window of the girls' bathroom and fell down. Li Fan was speechless. This Zhao Yingjun was too cocky. It's spring, but he shouldn't be this thirsty. Li Fan didn't know what to say, but Wang Yang pulled his sleeve. "Second brother, you came at the right time. Help me pay for the medical expenses first." "Hey, is the money not enough?" Wang Yang was naturally more embarrassed, and Xiang was also too embarrassed to ask. Although he had a lot of pocket money, he had just bought a set of VR equipment this month, and all his pocket money was spent. "Okay, it's a small matter. Leave it to me." Li Fan hurriedly stood up, but the floor of the hospital seemed to have just been wiped. It was very smooth. Li Fan's knees actually went soft, his feet were empty, and he directly fell to the ground with a flop. "Second brother? Second brother, are you okay?" The shouts of his brothers rang in his ears. Li Fan waved his hand. He was about to stand up, but he felt that his left calf had lost feeling, and it wouldn't listen to his commands. Li Fan felt a chill in his heart. This was a sign of a fracture. But as a martial artist and a half-saint expert, how could he have a fracture? The words of the dragon lady faintly echoed in his mind. After having sex with the female dragon clan, Most of his nutrients were sucked away. But he had been in seclusion for so long, and there was no reaction. Could it be that the effects were only starting to show now? Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. He was worried that he would leave behind some sequelae. If there was another case of osteochondrosis, then he would be finished. His left calf seemed to be bleeding internally, and Li Fan's vision was slightly black. Fortunately, this was a hospital. His 2 dormitory brothers were in a hurry, and they found a doctor for Li Fan. After a series of examinations, the final conclusion was that Li Fan's left calf was comminuted. Another hospital bed was added to the corridor. Li Fan looked at his brother Zhao Yingjun lying beside him, and then looked at his calf that was hung up. His heart ached. He had dominated the pugilistic world, but when did he end up like this? Although the Chosen One's genes could heal wounds, it required absorbing other people's flesh and blood. Li Fan didn't want to do that. Zhao Yingjun slowly woke up, and when he saw Li Fan lying next to him, he was stunned. Second brother, you also went to the women's bathhouse? Fuck you, I was in a hurry to pay for your medical expenses. Li Fan was furious. This Zhao Yingjun, he didn't even care about him when he woke up. Instead, he said such immoral words. People will always fall sick. I guess it was just a momentary injury just now. Wang Yang was still comforting Li Fan. Second brother, don't worry and recuperate here. Money is not a problem. Rest well. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Of course, money was not a problem. He paid for it himself. Li Fan? Just as Li Fan was about to complain, a familiar fragrance suddenly wafted into his nose. Li Fan turned his head and saw a beautiful nurse standing next to him. When Zhao Yingjun, the perverted devil, saw her, his eyes immediately popped out. Miss Takeda. This was none other than Takeda Lan, who came looking for him a few days ago. Seeing her in the hospital, Li Fan was extremely embarrassed. With his current appearance, wouldn't she mock him to death? Unexpectedly, Takeda Lan only checked Li Fan's injury and then said, "The medical report is out. Your attending doctor said you have a serious calcium deficiency. After you recover, supplement more calcium." The nurse gave him a bunch of instructions, and Li Fan was a little stunned. You don't have anything else to say?" Chapter 12:17. What are you talking about? Takeda Lan looked at Li Fan with a serious expression. This little girl's face was quite good-looking. Especially the nurse uniform. The uniform wrapped around a pair of beautiful long legs, causing one's imagination to run wild. With such a beautiful nurse in the hospital, it could be considered as adding a touch of color to the hospital. Here, I am the nurse and you are the patient. Takeda Lan looked at Li Fan's medical record again. Rest well, I will be responsible for you in the future. When Li Fan heard this, he was a bit dazed. Although Takeda Lan looked like a very righteous little girl, Li Fan still faintly felt that something was wrong. Modern mantis shrimp, let's go. Li Fan sighed in his heart. It was a pity that he only had thoughts but not the ability to take action. He also did not want to tell the dojo about this. It was too embarrassing. If they knew that he was hospitalized because of a bone fracture, they would laugh their heads off. The dignified little overlord of the martial arts world, the Golden Escort, the leader of the Seven Knights sect, was actually hospitalized because of a calcium deficiency today. Damn it. Resigned to fate, Li Fan sent a message to Jiang Yi, saying that he had something to do and would be back in a few days. Although it was a bone fracture, he was still stronger than ordinary people. It probably wouldn't take long for his body to recover. This matter must not be known by others. I will be obedient and recuperate. There are so many patients here, Miss Takeda better go back to work. I will come back to see you later. Takeda Lan still had that serious expression, turned around and left. Li Fan laid on the hospital bed, his hands in a circle, letting the elemental energy in his body slowly circulate. If he wanted his body to recover, he would need to circulate it for at least a small cycle. This small cycle was only a day's time. No matter what, he had to endure this day first. However, The air in the hospital was not very good. He heard that he still had to undergo surgery on his calf tomorrow, inserting a steel plate or something to stabilize the calf bones, allowing them to develop healthily again. You two brothers can lie down. You keep an eye on the direction. I will go out and buy some big bones for them. Wang Yang pretended to be generous. How can I not give a single cent when second brother pays for the medical fees? I'll buy this big bone, don't fight with me for it. As he spoke, he touched his pocket, and his face stiffened. Oh my God, how could I forget to bring money with me when I go out? Li Fan glared at him. This stingy fellow, don't tell me that he even wants to pay for the consolation items out of his own pocket. Use mine, I still have some left. Xiang Dong quickly took out 200 yuan and handed it to Wang Yang. Okay, I'm going to buy some big bones. Direction, take good care of them. I'll be back soon. With other people's money, Wang Yang happily went to buy some consolation items. Li Fan was lying on the bed, looking in the direction, and couldn't help but ask. Direction, your monthly allowance is at least 10 or 20,000, right? What kind of equipment do you need to buy that costs so much? Yeah, a VR set isn't expensive. Xiang Dong hurriedly explained, I bought a set from Hong Kong, and it cost about 6,000. But there's not enough space in the dormitory. If I want to play, I need an empty room. You're not trying to say that you rented a house off campus, are you? Second brother really guessed it. Xiang Dong was a little shy. I rented a small loft, and the living room downstairs can be used as a VR game room. This way, I can play more happily. Then you're moving out too? Yeah. Xiang Dong nodded. If you don't live in the dormitory, there's no point in living in the dormitory. Third brother goes out to pick up girls every day, and eldest brother also joins some supernatural society to read people's fortunes every day. He doesn't have time to care about me. It feels like this dormitory has broken up. Don't say that. It's fate that we met, and we've always been brothers. Look, something happened, and now we're all together again. Sister nurse, my hand is a little uncomfortable. Can you please give me a massage? Li Fan was chatting happily with Xiang Dong. He looked at Zhao Yingjun, who was flirting with the nurse, making the nurse frown. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He felt that this injury was really funny. Sure enough, it's not easy to be a dragon knight. Riding him for a whole hour was a huge loss of vitality. Wang Yang went out for a whole hour before returning with a bowl of bone soup. The four of them shared the bone soup. At night, Xiang Dong and Wang Yang went back to school. There were nurses in the hospital, and it wasn't like Li Fan and Zhao Yingjun couldn't take care of themselves. With two people supporting them, they could still move normally. However, Zhao Yingjun was slightly better off, but Li Fan was miserable. One of his feet was still being held, and it was really difficult for him to do anything. Moreover, he was still in the recovery stage, so it was best for him to lie here and recuperate. Li Fan fell asleep in the afternoon. Although his ears were filled with the noise of the hospital, Li Fan seemed to really need to recover, so he slept especially well. When he woke up, it was already night time. At night, Li Fan felt that his leg was a little better. At least, he had regained some feeling and could feel pain. It was a good thing that he could feel pain. If he couldn't feel pain, it meant that there must be something wrong with his body's functions. To be able to recover so much in one afternoon, it proved that he was still in the recovery stage. Although it was a little slow, it was still far faster than ordinary people. Probably, it wouldn't take long for him to recover 70 to 80%. However, in the middle of the night, Li Fan suddenly had the urge to pee. But at this time, the nurse wasn't around. He turned to look at Zhao Yingjun. It seemed that he had spent a lot of energy teasing the nurse during the day, so he slept like a dead pig, snoring loudly. Li Fan called him a few times, but he didn't wake up. Motherfucker. I can't count on him at this critical moment. Li Fan had no choice. He tried to stand up on his own, but he couldn't use any strength in his left leg. Whenever he moved, he felt intense pain. This is too fucked up. Am I going to pee my pants? Li Fan wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Just when he was at his wit's end, the nurse, Takeda Lan, came over and went straight to Li Fan's side. She gave something to Li Fan. What is this? Urinal. Li Fan was a little embarrassed. At this time, should he use it or not? It's been a day and you haven't peed. You've been injected with glucose. You should pee immediately. Takeda Lan said to Li Fan in a serious manner, hurry up and use it. It's not good for a man to hold back his urine. I'm not that useless. Li Fan's self-esteem rose. I don't need the urinal, I'll do it myself. With that, he picked up his hanging leg and put it on the floor. Then, he used his hands to support himself on the bed and was about to stand up, but Takeda Lan stopped him. What are you doing? Chapter 12:18. I'm going to the toilet. Can't I? When Li Fan spoke, he was a little angry. You can urinate, but you can't walk. Takeda Lan reminded him, your calf has a comminuted fracture. You can't move it casually. Be careful of dislocation and it will cause a lifelong disability. You're a girl. Can you not open your mouth and pee? Li Fan was very uncomfortable. I still have self-control. I can't pee on your bed. It doesn't matter if you wet the bed. There are all kinds of patients in the hospital. Some even pee on the bed. What's wrong with me? You're a man. Why are you acting like a woman? Takeda Lan rolled her eyes at Li Fan. You're a patient now. I'm a nurse. Everything I do is for you. Anyway, I don't need a urinal. I want to go to the toilet. Li Fan's self-esteem was haunted. He refused to use a urinal no matter what. I'm not watching you urinate. Why are you so nervous? You can urinate slowly. Don't worry. I still have the next word to check. That's not necessary. I won't suffocate to death. What's there to be afraid of? Li Fan's temper flared up. I want to see if my prostate can explode from holding it in. A man can't be a coward. What's there to be angry about? You're the one who feels uncomfortable. Takeda Lan was very helpless. But she had worked in the hospital for a long time and had experience. Then you sit here and don't move. Wait for me for a minute. I'll be right back. What if I move? Well, you haven't informed your family yet. I'll help you inform them. I won't move. Okay, I'll be right back. With that, Takeda Lan turned around and left. In less than a minute, she pushed a wheelchair from the nurse's station not far away and walked in front of Li Fan. Then, Takeda Lan squatted down and inserted her hands under Li Fan's armpits. She gently helped him up. This Takeda Lan obviously practiced martial arts. Her strength was not small. Li Fan was weak now and could only be manipulated by her. Takeda Lan carefully placed Li Fan on the wheelchair. There was a bracket under the wheelchair that supported Li Fan's calf. Sit down, I'll push you to the toilet. All right, Li Fan also had no choice. When this Takeda Lan became overbearing, he was also at his wit's end. After all, this was a hospital. It was their territory. They just had to be obedient. Li Fan was pushed by Takeda Lan to the other end of the corridor. The inpatient department was much quieter at night. It was not as noisy as it was during the day. It was not the same in the outpatient department. It was noisy and noisy, making people feel irritated. I say, Miss Takeda, now that I'm in your hands, do you really not have any thoughts? What do you think? You're a patient. Do you think I can kill you? Takeda Lan's voice carried a hint of ridicule. You martial artists are all stubborn. You are like this and so is Grandpa. He's been lost for several days. I don't know where he is now. Oh, he's in Foshan. Li Fan shared his information. A Hong Quan dojo in Foshan was kicked by him. There are many more over there. It's estimated that he'll kick them for a while. What's the point of fighting back and forth? Takeda Lan was slightly dissatisfied. You hit me, I hit you. My body will be injured. I can't stand this kind of mutual injury. That's why I chose to quit martial arts and become a doctor. Then why didn't you choose to be a doctor? Why did you choose to be a nurse? Doctors save people. Nurses take care of people. Grandpa said that since I was a child, I liked to take care of others. That's why I chose to be a nurse. This reason, as long as you're happy. Do you have prejudice against nurses? Nurses earn less. Takeda Lan seemed a little angry. Your thinking has fallen. We're all angels in white, we're all saving lives. What's the difference between a doctor and a nurse? Why use money to measure it? Yes. Miss Takeda, I was rude. I'm sorry. Forget it. You're injured now. Your mood is unstable. I shouldn't have gotten angry with you. Takeda Lan said, stopped the wheelchair, then stood in front of Li Fan and bowed deeply to him. Please forgive me. Hey, I'm not angry with you. We were just discussing the matter. Li Fan also sighed. For Miss Takeda, money may indeed be nothing. After all, the Takeda family is a big business. But for many ordinary people, a penny can drive a hero to death. If we want to enrich our material life, that's the primary goal of everyone's struggle. Yes, you're right. I was a little extreme just now. However, after I studied nursing, I left the country and came to China to live. Here, I also rely on my own part-time work to study. I didn't spend a penny from my family. Fuck, this girl is so brave. Every day, seeing so many people injured and listening to their painful moans, I really feel sorry for them. So, if China's Wulin is going to have a catastrophe, I hope to contribute my meager strength and help a little. Miss Takeda is really kind. Li Fan's voice trembled slightly. He couldn't hold it anymore. Here we are. Takeda Lan pushed Li Fan directly into the bathroom. It was so late and there was no one else in the bathroom. Takeda Lan helped Li Fan up and carefully helped him into the single room. The two people were so close that Li Fan could clearly smell the fragrance from Takeda Lan's body. However, this toilet full of urine smell was really not a good place to taste the fragrance. Next, I can do it myself. Li Fan said that if he helped again, he would be helping his brother. I'll help you take off your pants. Takeda Lan said, and her hand fell on the waist of Li Fan's pants. Li Fan was almost scared out of his wits. Fuck, what is she going to do? This is absolutely not allowed. Why are you so shy? It's inconvenient for you to move. I'm just helping you take off your pants. Miss Takeda, men and women should not touch each other. You better go out. Li Fan was not particularly familiar with Takeda Lan. Although he was quite open in bed with Lu Wunan and Imperial concubine Zhou, after all, they were not sharing a pillow. If you're embarrassed, you can close your eyes. Fuck, how can I pee with my eyes closed? Aren't you afraid that I will pee in your mouth? Li Fan regretted it after saying it. It was a little too much. He was used to joking with people, so he said it casually. Takeda Lan was silent for a moment. She was really serious about work. Please don't joke. Now everything is about your health. With that, Takeda Lan pulled off Li Fan's pants. Please urinate. Don't mind me. Just pretend that I don't exist. Chapter 12:19. Li Fan was filled with grief and indignation. A hero has a weakness for the charms of a beautiful woman. Bah, this sentence is not suitable now. It should be a hero in trouble. I am a hero of my generation, but today I am reduced to letting a woman take off his pants to pee. Although Li Fan was indignant, he could not control his bladder. Especially when his pants were taken off, a cool breeze blew, and the pee was overwhelming. He turned on the small green soccer ball in the urinal and opened the water door. The sound was very loud, and Li Fan slightly blushed. It's okay, the loud sound is proof of health. Behind him, although Takeda Lan was facing Li Fan's buttocks, she seemed to have accurately grasped his thoughts and comforted him. Li Fan said, "Of course I am healthy. I can do you 10 times in one night without taking a break." Although he wanted to say something, his body was weak now, really weak. Shake it. After Li Fan finished peeing, Takeda Lan ordered, "Damn you, even if you don't say it, I still have to shake it." Li Fan did the final work, and then Takeda Lan pulled up his pants. At the hospital, he changed into a hospital gown, which was more convenient. Your operation is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. Try not to eat too greasy food during the day, understand? Takeda Lan sent Li Fan back to the bed, and after covering him with the quilt, she did not forget to say a few words. "Got it, Miss Takeda. Sorry to trouble you." Li Fan sighed in his heart. This Takeda Lon is simply his nemesis. My hospitalization, I hope Miss Takeda can keep it a secret. I get off work at 5 in the morning. Takeda Lon looked at her watch. If you haven't slept at that time, I will come over and chat with you. Takeda Lon still had to go to work. She helped Li Fan tidy up the quilt, and then turned to leave. Sister nurse. Don't go. A few yards. The nearby Zhao Yingjun suddenly shouted in his sleep, which made Li Fan want to laugh. This guy, in this life, may die on a woman. He lay quietly on the hospital bed. Although his body was weak, at this moment, Li Fan's mental strength was unusually strong. After Mr. Yang disappeared completely, he left a huge amount of spiritual power for Li Fan, which was also a good legacy. In addition, he cultivated the 9 Truths Secrets art, which strengthened his mental power significantly. Li Fan couldn't fall asleep, so he let his mental power sense everything around him. When Li Fan placed the ethereal platform, his mental strength would become several times clearer, and he would be able to perceive his surroundings. In Li Fan's mind, all the people in the hospital were reflected. Each of them had a colorful glow on their bodies, some strong, some dim. Those who were strong were people with exuberant energy. Those who were dim were those who were about to die. Only Li Fan could enjoy this wonderful world alone. However, he had already given up on the Star Luo Supreme art, so he had no way of absorbing the vitality of the people around him to replenish his own energy. Even if he could, Li Fan wouldn't do it. Moreover, as long as Li Fan was willing, he could absorb the flesh and blood of others and quickly repair his body. But no matter which one it was, Li Fan didn't want to use it casually. These methods were too crazy. If there was a god, he was afraid that the god wouldn't like it. Li Fan didn't seek good or evil when doing things now. He just wanted to be able to live up to his conscience. Li Fan. After lying down for a long time, Li Fan heard a familiar voice. He opened his eyes and saw that Takeda Lon had returned to his side. Takeda Lon had changed out of her nurse uniform. Her top was a white shirt, and her lower body was a pair of denim hot pants, revealing her small waist and long legs. It was really pleasing to the eye. In particular, these hot pants were a bit too short. Li Fan felt that if he tried hard, he could see the small triangle inside. Girls nowadays were beautiful with less clothes. It was really too fortunate to be born in the modern world. Li Fan couldn't help but shed tears of excitement. You haven't slept yet? Takeda Lon was a little surprised to see Li Fan so energetic. There's a surgery in the afternoon. You should have a good rest. I'm waiting for you, Li Fan said with a half-truth. Do you Chinese boys like to coax girls so much? Takeda Lon rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Ahem, how can you say that? I'm not that kind of person. Li Fan said that this Takeda Lon was not simple. It was estimated that after living alone for so long, the little girl's mind was very sharp. Why didn't you tell your family that you were injured so badly? After work, Takeda Lon was more casual. She was very curious about this question and finally couldn't help but ask. First, I don't want them to worry. Second, I can't let anyone know that I'm injured. Many people are eyeing me covetously. Once something happens to me, they will immediately attack my forces. At that time, the last bloodline of Wulin will be really broken. You martial artists are really strange. Takeda Lon was very puzzled. In our country, a powerful martial artist will definitely be respected by other martial artists. But here, martial artists also like to fight to the death, hoping that the other party can't survive. Why is that? You ask me, who should I ask? Li Fan was also helpless. This problem had been like this in China since ancient times. Chinese people had a habit of loving internal strife. The more superior the internal environment, the more fierce the fight. However, once there was a foreign enemy, it would be different. No matter how fierce the internal strife was, they would first unite as one, drive the foreign enemy out, and then fight internally. China's thousands of years of civilization history was always filled with internal strife, which made the glorious Wulin in the past to be on the verge of death. In modern times, there were two thorough purges. One was the Red Decade, and the other was the holy war plan a while ago. Your Japanese Wooleen is also eyeing us covetously. If I fall now, then it's really over. I still don't understand. There was a puzzled look in Takeda Lan's beautiful eyes. It's normal that you can't understand. I also can't understand. Li Fan lay on the bed, completely relaxed his body and mind. So, you must not leak the news that I'm here. You asked me for one thing, and I'll also ask you for one thing. Takeda Lan pleaded, you're already injured, please don't compete with my grandfather. It's just a little injury, it's not like I can't recover. Li Fan looked at Takeda Lan and told her word by word, I'm a martial artist. Refusing another martial artist is humiliating me. What's more, I have the Chinese Wooleen behind me. If I don't fight, where will the face of the Chinese Wooleen be? You're not the only one in the Chinese Wooleen. Takeda Lan asked, don't you still have Wudong and Shaolin in China? Can't you just let them fight for you? Chapter 12:20. Hearing her words, Li Fan smiled bitterly. Wudong? Shaolin? That place has completely turned into a tourist attraction. Li Fan pointed at himself. Now, I am the last Wooleen. In the big Wooleen, other than a few alliances that were still resisting, the only one left was Li Fan's 7 Chivalry sect. Now that the 7 Chivalry sect was slowly on the right track, Li Fan's next step was to choose a mountain and prepare to establish his sect. G City and H City were both too close to the north and south, so it was not suitable to establish a sect. Li Family Island was the most suitable place. After all, it was his territory, but it was too far. Li Fan wanted to find a suitable land in the middle. Bai Lin Luo had already researched this on behalf of Li Fan. Currently, Li Family Island was developing well, and their funds were slowly increasing. Li Family Island took out a portion of the funds to choose a good small villa in Liaoning's Bayfish Circle. Bayfish Circle was also a coastal city. First, it was convenient to go to Li Family Island, and second, it was still being developed. In the future, it would be a good tourist city. That small villa was originally going to be developed as a tourist attraction, but the local planning bureau staff owed General Ran a favor. Thus, General Ran pulled some strings, and Bai Lin Luo paid the money, and that small villa was contracted by them. Currently, they had signed the ownership contract for 70 years. Not only the small villa, but half of the mountain was also under the management of the villa. Currently, the villa was still under repair. Once it was repaired, Li Fan would go there to establish his sect. The last Wooleen was to spread the 7 Chivalry sect's martial arts throughout China. In short, you are injured, so you can't fight. Takeda Lan saw that Li Fan did not listen to her advice. It takes 100 days to recover from an injury. You need to rest for at least a few months. In these few months, you won't be able to fight with my grandfather. Are you worried about me, Miss Takeda? Mr. Li, you think too much. I just don't want anyone to get hurt. Takeda Lan snorted. I want everyone to be healthy. Stupid, then you will lose your job. If everyone can be healthy, I would rather change my job. Alright, my martial arts club is still lacking a young doctor. Come, I'll give you a high salary. In your dreams. After I gain some work experience, I'm going to join the United Nations rescue team. Damn, your thoughts are too far-fetched. Li Fan prostrated himself in admiration. This woman was simply amazing. Can't women have dreams? Yes, of course I can. Li Fan gave him a thumbs up. Great dream. I'll give you a like. Thank you, although I don't see any admiration in your eyes. Ahem, you're mistaken. My eyes are filled with reverence for you. Li Fan quickly explained. Cut it out. The more you try to cover it up, the worse it will get. Takeda Lan curled her lips. You better recuperate. Don't bother explaining. That's true. Then go back and rest early. I'll continue to recuperate. And, after all, we still have to be together for a long time. See you tomorrow? No, see you tonight. Takeda Lan finally left. Li Fan breathed a sigh of relief. This woman was really stubborn. What Li Fan feared the most was this kind of stubborn woman. Just when Li Fan wanted to have a good rest, A chill suddenly came from the side. Li Fan felt as if winter had arrived. Even Zhao Yingjun, who was sleeping next to him, subconsciously wrapped himself in the quilt. Who's it? Li Fan became vigilant and turned his head to take a look. A strong man wearing only shorts was sitting on the bed opposite Li Fan. On the bed was an old man with a fractured finger. He was also unconscious, tightly wrapped in the quilt. He didn't know that someone was sitting on his bed. This man looked at Li Fan coldly as if he was looking at a dead man. "Sir, you came to find me in the middle of the night wearing so little. Aren't you cold? Death is imminent, but you still have a glib tongue." The underwear man sneered. "Is this the tongue you use to coax my woman?" "Your woman? Which one are you?" Li Fan frowned. His heart had a slight bad premonition. "Oh, you're having fun, but you don't know who I am? No matter, you just need to remember that I'm here to take your life." With that, the underwear man suddenly stepped forward and dragged Li Fan from the bed. He pinched his neck and pinned him to the wall behind him. His palm gradually closed. Li Fan has understood. This man's wife is Xiong Meili, who he had slept with. Fuck, I still haven't gone to Donghai. Her husband came to find me. Right now, his body was empty. He couldn't exert any strength. He could only watch the underwear man slowly closing his palm. His breathing became more and more difficult. The god of death seemed to have stopped on his shoulder, waiting to harvest his life. Li Fan wanted to give up struggling. He was tired. It is said that before a person dies, they can see everything in the past. In this scene, Li Fan felt that he had seen a lot. The first time he saw Murong Ing at a school dance. The first time he was forced to date by Lin Yueting. The first time he used martial arts to defeat his opponent. These scenes made Li Fan want to live again. Unwilling. An intense unwillingness. He didn't even have the chance to establish his own sect. If he dies like this, he is unwilling. To be able to die in my hands, you didn't live in vain. The underwear man said. His right hand suddenly turned into a dragon claw and directly crushed Li Fan's neck. Li Fan didn't even have the time to struggle before he breathed his last. The underwear man swung his hand and threw Li Fan to the side. He originally wanted to leave. However, at this moment, countless black silk threads suddenly flew out from Li Fan's body and directly wrapped around the underwear man's body. The underwear man was shocked. He was about to roar out, but a large number of silk threads had already wrapped around his mouth, sealing his voice. Then, more silk threads inserted themselves into the underwear man's body, sucking his flesh and blood. As a member of the majestic dragon race, if he was in dragon form, these black genetic robots would not be able to do anything to him. However, he was currently in human form. Before he could react, his body was torn apart by the genetic robots and crazily stuffed into Li Fan's body. Li Fan, who was originally dead at the side, suddenly trembled. His throat, which had been cut off, quickly healed. His heartbeat, which should have stopped, due to the impact of the genetic robots, thumped twice, causing Li Fan's heart to beat again. Li Fan abruptly opened his eyes and let out a roar. His roar was like thunder as it flew through the window and into the sky, dispersing the clouds that had gathered in the sky. In an instant, all the people in the hospital who were sleeping woke up with a start. They didn't know what happened and thought that there was a thunderstorm outside. Only Li Fan knew what had happened. He sat on the ground recalling what happened earlier. Chapter 12:21. Second brother, is there thunder? Zhao Yingjun rubbed his eyes, sat up, and looked at Li Fan, who was lying against the wall. Yes, there is thunder. Li Fan also calmed down. He nodded and slowly stood up. Second brother, your leg? Seeing Li Fan stand up as if nothing had happened, Zhao Yingjun was dumbfounded. Yes, it's done. As Li Fan spoke, he stepped on the ground, and the splint tied to it shattered. It's recovering well. There's no need for surgery tomorrow. Ooh, you're too perverted. Zhao Yingjun looked at Li Fan as if he was a monster. I won't accompany you here. Help me tell the hospital that I'm going back to the dojo. As Li Fan spoke, he turned and walked toward the stairs. Tonight was an eventful night. He actually absorbed a real dragon. The dragon lady said that dragons were at their strongest when they were in their dragon form. However, after transforming into human form, they could not even use 1,000th of their strength. Although he did not know whether the dragon lady was telling the truth, Li Fan felt that he had indeed survived tonight. Everything seemed to be pushed by fate. He went to the heavenly prison, absorbed the chosen one, and then became a dragon knight. When his body was weak, he met the man in underpants who caught him in the act again. Then, because of the chosen one, he absorbed him again. The benefits that the man in underpants brought him were obvious. Obviously, Li Fan's physical strength had increased a lot, and his vitality was more abundant. Moreover, with the dragon gene in his body, Li Fan felt that there was more room for improvement in the martial arts he had previously learned. Li Fan looked at his hand. Was he considered a dragon now? This question was worth pondering. I'll go back and discuss it with the dragon lady. As Li Fan was thinking about this matter, he hurried out of the hospital. As a result, at the hospital entrance, Li Fan saw a familiar figure. The young nurse, Takeda Lan, who had left earlier, was now standing at the hospital entrance, reaching out to hail a taxi. But at night, there were very few cars in front of the hospital. In addition, there were a few other people waiting together. When the taxi stopped, the others rushed forward and directly sat in the car. Takeda Lan was so angry that she stomped her feet. Li Fan couldn't help but want to laugh. It couldn't be helped. In China, there were many thick-skinned people. Snatching a taxi was nothing. He had seen worse things with his own eyes. Li Fan was not in a hurry to leave. He felt that Takeda Lan was a very interesting girl. He stood silently on the side and watched her try to get a taxi. After waiting for another half an hour, he really couldn't get a taxi. He could only stomp his feet and walk to the side road. This woman probably gave up on taking a taxi and chose to walk home. This was more like it. After all, they were all martial artists and their legs were so strong. It would be better to walk back, and it would also train their bodies. Li Fan looked in the direction. It happened to be the way back to the dojo, so he decided to send this girl on her way. Li Fan was also bored. He bounced his feet and used the 8 steps catching cicada. After a few steps, he jumped to the top of a small building next to him. He jumped forward again, soared into the air, and landed on the roof of the opposite building. Li Fan was wearing a hospital gown, silently following behind Takeda Lan with the roof as the road. Takeda Lan was worthy of being a martial artist. After walking for a long time, she didn't look tired at all. Her steps were light, and as she hurried, she looked at the phone in her hand. It was very dangerous to walk like this. But at this time, a few black shadows caught Li Fan's attention. These black shadows whizzed out from the side, like ghosts, and quietly followed Takeda Lan. Takeda Lan, who was originally immersed in her phone, finally felt a trace of bad. She stopped in a small alley and looked up. Everyone secretly following me isn't a gentleman's behavior, right? As soon as she finished speaking, a figure wrapped in black landed in front of her with a whoosh. This was a man with a height of no more than 1.6 meters. His whole body was wrapped in a black ninja suit, revealing only a pair of gloomy small eyes. Looking at the family emblem on their bodies, Li Fan already recognized them. This is the most famous ninja clan of Japan, Koga clan. Koga clan? I have no enmity with you, why are you following me? Takeda Lan looked at the short ninja in front of her and immediately asked. Although when Japan invaded China, they used the Northeast men to improve their short genes. But in the ninja clan, they still respected the shorty. Because ninjas are an assassination group, being tall and big is not good for assassination. The shorter the body, the more flexible. Sorry, Miss Takeda, we have no ill intentions. The ninja who appeared said slowly with a hoarse voice, we just want to remind Miss Takeda not to interfere in the competition between the Takeda clan and China. The clan, this is the respectful title for the head of the Takeda family. This is our Takeda family's own matter. When did it become your Koga clan's turn to interfere? Takeda Lan seemed to be a little unhappy. This Koga clan's hand had reached too far. It had actually reached into their home. This is not your Takeda family's own matter. The ninja reminded her. Miss Takeda, this is related to the great cause of the entire Japan's martial arts world. Li Fan is a threat to us. We plan to take this opportunity to get rid of Li Fan and destroy the entire Chinese martial arts world. This way, the Japan's martial arts world will be the strongest existence in the world. What a joke! I will never allow this kind of thing. Takeda-lan was very angry. What you are doing is a grave mistake. I will not agree to it. We know that Miss Takeda has a strong and unyielding personality, so we did not come here to persuade you. The ninja's attitude became tough. This is the order of His Majesty the Emperor. If you do not agree, we will kidnap you back to the Japan. When this competition is over, we will naturally let you out. You dare? Takeda-lan raised her eyebrows. She was furious. If you dare to do this, my grandfather will definitely not let you off. The great clan will definitely understand our painstaking efforts. The ninja's attitude did not change. We will not make things difficult for Miss Takeda. When we return to the Japan, we will still serve you well. This is really too presumptuous. It is because of the existence of people like you that I don't want to practice martial arts. Takeda-lan's chest heaved up and down. She was obviously very angry. I will definitely not let you guys do as you wish. Miss Takeda, even if we are enemies with you, we still have to complete the mission. Looks like you won't change your mind. Takeda-lan stepped into a horse stance, stretched out her hands, and assumed the stance of their Takeda family karate. Since that's the case, I will let you experience my Takeda family's martial arts. Chapter 12:22. The Koga ninja did not speak, just whistled. A shadow squatted on the top of the nearby wall, took out a blow tube in his hand, and blew at Takeda-lan below. But Takeda-lan's ears slightly moved, turned around, and directly slapped the flying needle away. As for the other ninja, he threw a large net towards Takeda-lan. Takeda-lan once again noticed the movement. She moved to the side, avoiding the big net. At the same time, she turned around and kicked a poplar tree in the alley. Lifting her long, fair legs, she pushed open her hot pants and kicked it. The poplar tree shook, and a Koga ninja hiding on it directly fell down and fell on top of Takeda-lan's head. Takeda-lan took a step back at the same time, raised her right hand, and directly chopped the ninja's lower abdomen with a beautiful knife hand. The Koga ninja directly hit the ground, smashing a pit in the ground. Miss Takeda is really powerful. The Takeda family cannot be underestimated. The previous leader ninja could not help but praise. The Takeda family's martial arts is the spiritual symbol of Japan, therefore, the Takeda family cannot lose. Then don't compete. Takeda-lan emphasized, in this way, no one will lose. There will be no dispute, no harm. Miss Takeda, your idea is too naive. The Koga ninja reminded her, such a simple idea cannot serve an empire. I don't serve any empire, don't think too much. Miss Takeda, in your body flows the blood of my Yamato people. The Koga ninja continued, we belong to the people of the sun, we endure humiliation, only to be able to let the sun of the empire rise again. Don't joke around, now is the era of peace, don't think about those wars, you will only make civilization regress. Chinese people are inferior people, they are not qualified to have such a rich territory. The Koga ninja continued, you see, this beautiful place has been ruined by them. That is also their territory, their country. You war criminals, don't tie everyone's thoughts to you. No, you are wrong. We are not war criminals, we are pioneers. The Koga ninja's eyes were full of fanaticism. Maybe some people don't understand now, but after a few decades, the descendants of Shina that we rescued will definitely thank us. Ridiculous. Takeda-lan was getting angrier. You guys have not only tarnished our civilization, China's civilization, but you've also tarnished the word martial artist. If Grandpa finds out what you've done, his fists will cry. Childish young miss. The Koga ninja sighed. In that case, don't blame us for being ruthless. Bring it on. Who would be afraid of you monsters? Takeda-lan struck out with both fists. and a steady stream of chi began to emerge from her body, causing the surrounding gravel to float up. And Takeda Lan's long hair also floated along with the energy. Everyone says that Miss Takeda is the most beloved granddaughter of the sect, and even passed on the morality technique that he painstakingly cultivated to you. What a pity! With your skills, you should be serving my Yamato Empire. Nagi, if you want to fight, come quickly. Takeda Lan stood there. Her kung fu was indeed powerful. Several ninjas launched a sneak attack, but they were all defeated by her. Takeda Lan's kung fu was clean and neat, and her punches and kicks were also very powerful, showing the advantage of karate. Karate, as the national art of Japan, is basically a strong and fierce move. Especially the power of the punches and kicks, it was very strong. Even for a girl like Takeda Lan, no ninja could directly take a punch or kick from her. Li Fan stood on the roof, his eyes like an eagle, clearly watching the battle below. Takeda Lan was indeed powerful, and those ninjas were not her opponent at all. It was a pity that such a girl did not practice kung fu. Koga sect just as Takeda Lan defeated a lot of ninjas in a row, full of confidence. But at this time, the ninja that she first knocked to the ground suddenly picked up the blow tube and blew a needle at Takeda Lan's back. Takeda Lan did not expect this. Although she felt a chill on her back, it was too late to dodge and defend. The silver needle directly pierced her white shirt and pierced her smooth back. The young nurse felt her eyes turning black, and her strength suddenly disappeared. Unable to support her body, she half knelt on the ground, one hand on the ground, trying not to fall down. "I'm sorry, Miss Takeda." The Koga ninja apologized. "This needle is smeared with medicine to make you weak. You will be fine, you just won't be able to lift your strength for a few days. When the major martial arts competition is over, you will safely return to the Takeda family." How can you humiliate the samurai of the Takeda family like this? Takeda Lan bit her lips. She would rather die than let these people succeed. "Miss Takeda, I'm sorry." The Koga ninja took out a pair of handcuffs, ready to lock Takeda Lan. At this time, a hand suddenly stretched out from the side and grabbed his wrist. Hey, friend, it's not good to tie up a girl, right?" Takeda Lan slightly turned her head and found that it was Li Fan. "This guy's leg hasn't healed, and he's wearing a hospital gown. How come he came here?" "Li Fan. Quickly go. Your leg." Takeda Lan wanted to let Li Fan leave, but suddenly found that his leg was firmly on the ground, as if nothing happened. Li Fan? Seeing this person, the Koga ninja was also surprised. "Friends, don't you want to defeat me, Li Fan? Why bother others to do it? It's better to do it yourself." When Li Fan spoke, a ninja jumped from behind him, grabbed the kunai with both hands, raised it high, and fiercely stabbed toward the back of Li Fan's neck. Before Takeda Lan had time to warn him, Li Fan took a step back, his body first hit the ninja, and his shoulders pushed away the ninja's hands that had not yet had time to swing down. The ninja was hit, and then Li Fan grabbed his throat, pulled his whole body from the back to the front, and smashed him to the ground. His throat has been grabbed by Li Fan's fingers, and blood spurted out. The ninja covered his bleeding neck and struggled a few times. His eyes were wide open and he was completely dead. Li Fan's ruthless move made the Koga ninja frown. "Li Fan, don't look down on us Koga ninjas. Today, even if I have to sacrifice every soldier, I will kill you here. If you really did this earlier, I would admire you." Li Fan laughed. "But now, I just want to say one thing. Everyone here, you are all trash." Chapter 12:23. Li Fan's words are not polite at all. The Koga ninja became impatient and only managed to suppress his anger after a long time. "Li Fan, leave your life here. If you have the ability, come and take it." Li Fan crossed his arms and stood there. "How about this? You are too weak. It is not fair to fight like this. I will let you use only 2 hands. How about it? Kill him." The Koga ninja ordered angrily. A ninja almost stuck to the ground and rushed to the front of Li Fan. He held a tachi in his hand and chopped at Li Fan's feet. However, Li Fan jumped lightly and avoided the ninja's tachi. At the same time, he fell down and stepped on the ninja's wrist with one foot. He swung his other foot like a battle axe and directly chopped at the ninja's head. 9 Dragons Art, 4th Style, Guillotine. The ninja's head flew out and smashed on the wall next to him, smearing his blood on it. Sigh, the wall is dirty. Li Fan's words are full of sarcasm, causing the Koga ninja to gnash his teeth. Another 2 ninjas sneak attacked. Li Fan kept his promise. He even put his hands in his pocket and only swung his legs as a weapon. Guillotine was activated again and again, chopping off the heads of the surrounding ninjas, not giving them any chance to live. For these people, Li Fan did not intend to let them live. As for the corpses here, he will leave them to General Ran to deal with. These ninjas are not honorable fellows. Even if they die, they do not dare to make a sound. Li Fan, don't be complacent. The leading Koga ninja couldn't help it anymore. He pinched a seal with his hands, and no one knew how he did it, but unexpectedly he performed a doppelganger jutsu, turning into 10 identical figures, each of which took out a different ninja weapon. Some were holding tachi, some were holding double hooks, some were holding kunai, some were holding long sticks, and some were holding chain guns. Looking at them, it is really a bit daunting. The Koga ninja jumped over with his doppelganger and attacked Li Fan. He was confident that he could cripple Li Fan in one round. He was an elite of the Koga Ryu. If he gave it his all, even if he couldn't kill Li Fan, he would at least severely injure him. But at this moment, Li Fan still had his hands in his pockets and had no intention of taking them out. Hurry up and attack. Otherwise, you're dead. Seeing this scene, Takeda Lan could not help but remind. But her voice was weak and had no effect at all. But Li Fan was still standing there, facing the 10 ninjas rushing at him together, without the slightest fear. As for Li Fan, he took out his essence from his dantian and compressed it 3 times in his body. Then, he rushed towards the 10 vicious ninjas in front of him and directly spat out a dragon roar. 9 Dragons Will, Minor 4th Style, War Dragon Roar. A huge blast of air burst out from Li Fan's mouth and rushed forward. The 10 ninjas came fast and left even faster. In the blink of an eye, the 10 of them were all sent flying. Even the ground in front of them was blown up. A huge crack appeared on the ground in front of them. The wall beside them was shattered and the bodies of the 10 ninjas were instantly blown dozens of meters away and fell hard into the distance. Finally, Li Fan stretched out a hand and yawned. I'm sleepy. It's time to go back to sleep. Li Fan stretched out his hand and carried Takeda Lan in his arms like a princess carry. Let me send you home, nurse. The surrounding ninjas had all been defeated. Although they were powerful, they were still not Li Fan's match. Especially since Li Fan had just eaten a dragon, his strength had increased a lot. The 9 Dragons Will that he created could be used to the extreme. Sorry for causing trouble for you. Takeda Lan did not have any strength and could only let Li Fan carry her in his arms. The first thing she thought of was to apologize to Li Fan. I didn't expect that the Kaga family would do such a thing. No matter where it is, there will always be some rotten fish and shrimps. Li Fan sighed. Previously, the 3 major families of Japan had been looking for trouble with me. Although I used the ape family as an example and thought that the 3 major families had settled down, I didn't expect that they were still hiding such wild ambitions. How did it recover? Takeda Lan could not help but ask this question. She had seen the X-ray film of Li Fan's leg injury. It was indeed a comminuted fracture. There was no mistake. Didn't I tell you before that I recover faster? You're too fast. Takeda Lan did not believe it at all. How did you do it? It's true that I recover a bit faster. Right now, I might not even be considered a human anymore. After being injected with the genetic robot, Li Fan felt that he was even more like a monster. This kind of monster was created by humans. Humans were indeed at the top of the food chain on Earth. This Heaven's Chosen One could even devour the dragon race. It was truly terrifying. How could that be? Since you came to save me, it means that your heart is still very kind. Takeda Lan immediately comforted Li Fan. With such a heart, it shows that you are a kind human. Speaking of people being good at birth, I believe that people are evil at birth. After experiencing a period of things, Li Fan had long lost the innocence of the past. How could that be? Your outlook on life is too pessimistic. This is not good. Alright, I won't argue with you anymore. This is not a place to talk. I'll send you back first. Li Fan carried Takeda Lan and asked her the direction to go home. Takeda Lan pointed the way. Li Fan jumped up and used Qinggong to bring Takeda Lan home. On the way, Li Fan suddenly asked a question. Should you lose weight? I've gained weight? Takeda Lan suddenly became nervous. A few days ago I was down to 88 pounds. Could it be that I broke 90 pounds? Li Fan was a bit speechless. I was just joking with you. Did you really take it seriously? Phew. Scared me to death. Takeda Lan lightly hammered Li Fan's chest. Damn it, how can you use a girl's weight as a joke? You really should learn some manners on how to deal with girls. Your words remind me of a friend of mine. Li Fan was amazed. Humph, I am me, Takeda Lan. Takeda Lan only had the strength to speak. When my body recovers, I want to replace my grandfather and fight with you. If the two of us fight, those people from the island countries won't interfere, right? You won't succeed. Li Fan looked at Takeda Lan in his arms. The little girl's face was determined. This is a conspiracy that has been planned for a long time. It will not disappear because of your personal efforts. This battle is inevitable. Chapter 12:24. The place where Takeda Lan lived was not very far away. Although she was the daughter of the Takeda family, she only lived in an ordinary small apartment in City G. Li Fan used his internal force to open Takeda Lan's meridians, so that her physical strength slowly recovered. Why do you live in this kind of tube-shaped apartment? After Li Fan sent Takeda Lan into the room, he couldn't help but ask. The rent in G City is very expensive, okay? Takeda Lan immediately said, this is not bad, it's close to the hospital, and the rent is relatively cheap. Takeda Lan's room was less than 30 square meters, with one bedroom, one bathroom, and one kitchen. A camp bed was placed in the living room, which was the place where Takeda Lan rested. Li Fan looked around and felt that it was indeed a little shabby, not like a place where a young lady of a famous family should live. If the Takeda family knew that their daughter was squeezed in such a small shabby house in Huaxia, they would probably be unhappy. Why, are you not satisfied? Takeda Lan smiled. The conditions here are good. In the future, when I join the rescue team of the United Nations, I will often go to poor countries, and even war-torn places. There, I don't even have such conditions. You are a strange girl, I know, Li Fan couldn't help but complain. How can you say that about a girl with ideals? Takeda Lan gave Li Fan a hard look. This will be hated by girls. Yes, Miss Takeda, it's my fault. You are a girl who has transcended the realm, a modern nightingale. I have been deeply moved by your persistence and faith, but these days, you'd better not live here. Why? Takeda Lan didn't understand what Li Fan meant. You have been targeted by the people of Koga Ryu, and they will not stop until they complete the task. Li Fan reminded Takeda Lan, although your kung fu is good, Koga Ryu's ninjutsu is despicable and shameless. They will use all kinds of means to bring you back to Japan. At that time, I am afraid you will miss my proposal, right? Then where should I go? Takeda Lan also understood Li Fan's meaning. No matter where I hide, the people of Kaga Ryu will definitely find a way to find me. No, there is a very safe place. Li Fan chuckled. From today onwards, you can stay in my student dormitory. The conditions there are not bad. You can just pay me the monthly rent. Is this okay? Takeda Lan was startled, and was then moved by Li Fan's sincere eyes. What's wrong with that? I still have a lot of places at my place. They're empty anyway. If I take some rent from you, both of us will benefit from it. Isn't it killing two birds with one stone? Although it's a good thing. I don't know why, but it sounds a little uncomfortable. What do you mean by killing two birds with one stone? That's terrible. Takeda Lon frowned slightly. You're right, I made a mistake. This is killing two birds with one stone, two birds with one stone. Takeda Lon bowed deeply to Li Fan, a 15-degree bow. How come it's only 15 degrees? Li Fan was a little surprised. Shouldn't it be a standard 90-degree bow? That's not it. Takeda Lon burst out laughing, and then reminded Li Fan, a 15-degree bow is to express gratitude. A 30-degree bow is to express sincerity and apology. If it's 90-degree, it's to show repentance, to repent, and to repent. This is the etiquette passed down from your China, but you guys have forgotten it. This is indeed a little embarrassing. Li Fan said in his heart that Takeda Lon was right, and he had nothing to defend. Okay, then you pack up your things and come back to the martial arts hall with me. Okay, then I'll leave it to you. Takeda Lon bowed to Li Fan again. It was still a 15-degree bow. She was more traditional in these aspects. She was obviously dressed very sexily. Li Fan watched Takeda Lon pack up some girls' things. He couldn't help in this aspect, so he could only sit next to her and adjust his breath. After more than half an hour, Takeda Lon finished packing up. So fast? Smelling the fragrance around him, Li Fan opened his eyes and saw Takeda Lon carrying a backpack, standing beside him. Well, I just took some things that I can use, let's go. Which girl can pack faster than you? I'm going to be a nurse on the battlefield in the future, how can I carry too many things with me? Li Fan looked at the clean and simple apartment, and in his heart, he already understood Takeda Lan's character. This girl, in the future, will definitely be a character. Okay, let's go. Li Fan thought of something and suddenly asked another question. However, I like to walk, Miss Takeda Lon won't mind, right? As you say, I can do anything. Takeda Lon nodded and didn't object. A man and a woman, the two of them set out in the middle of the night, without any delay on the way back to the martial arts school. I tell you, our martial arts school is absolutely safe. When they were about to reach the martial arts school, Li Fan began to boast. Since those bastards kept looking for trouble, General Ran added some people to my martial arts school to patrol day and night. Now I'm almost at the military zone. Although it's a bit troublesome, it's absolutely safe. Li Fan just finished boasting. When he arrived at the entrance of the martial arts school, he was stunned for a moment. At this late, the martial arts school should be quiet, but at this time, it was brightly lit. In front of the martial arts school was a large group of royal guards, confronting the soldiers in front of the door. Bai Shui and Zhao Yan were still standing guard. Both of them were loyal, holding their pistols, pointing at the royal guards in front of them, not letting them enter. Li Fan didn't understand the situation. He glanced at the crowd and found that his spy, Huang Jie, was standing in the crowd. Li Fan used telepathy and coughed to him. Huang Jie turned his head and saw Li Fan, hurriedly gave him a look, and then pointed to his phone. Li Fan understood, took a look at the phone, and found that the phone was already out of battery. Fuck, at this critical time, this kind of situation happened. What's going on? Let's go in and see. Li Fan was quite helpless. This was too embarrassing. He didn't care about the two groups of people in front of him, but took Takeda Lon, through a small road that no one knew, to take a look back to his martial arts school. At this time, in the martial arts school, a man was standing in the training hall, followed by two royal guards. This man was wearing a white suit with a black tie, square face, thick eyebrows and big eyes, looking upright and outspoken. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with a large ring knife made of animal skin hanging on his waist. Jiang Yi and Li Xiaohu stood opposite of the man, confronting him. Imperial concubine Zhou crossed her arms, standing behind, as if to support the two disciples of Li Fan. Lu Wanner and Murong Ai were standing next to each other, eyebrows furrowed. Dragon Lady was not here. She rarely appeared on this kind of occasion. The atmosphere in the martial arts school was quite stiff. Chapter 12:25. Li, Takeda Lan was about to speak, but Li Fan had already covered her mouth, motioning her not to make a sound. He hid at the side, wanting to know what the imperial army wanted to do in the middle of the night. And how would his two little disciples deal with it? But as soon as Li Fan came, imperial concubine Zhou had already sensed his aura. The strange woman looked back and did not make a sound. She continued to stand there in silence. This imperial consort was very smart. She had long guessed what Li Fan was thinking and what he was thinking. Our master has already fallen asleep. If you want to find him, please come back another day. It was not suitable for Jiang Yi to appear here. She had always appeared in front of others with a mask, so as not to reveal her true identity. As long as Murong Bo was not eliminated, Jiang Ye's identity would not see the light of day. Now that she thought about it, it seemed that the Jiang siblings were living under the shadow of Murong Bo. Jiang Yi could not deal with it, but under her guidance, Le Xiaohu opened his mouth to speak to the square-faced premier-level cadre. Le Xiaohu seemed reluctant. He, who was originally clenching his fists, reluctantly cupped his fists. So, everyone please go back. I'm not here to look for trouble. I'm just here to say hello to Officer Li. The other party was neither servile nor overbearing, and his speech was also methodical, making it hard for people to find fault. This is my first time taking office in G City, so I should say hello to Officer Li. Especially after hearing that Officer Li is in good spirits, I can't help but be fascinated and want to see him. Sorry to disappoint you, my master is indeed asleep. Master works at sunrise and rests at sunset. This is his unchanging rule, so even we, as his disciples, dare not rashly wake him up. Lu Xiaohu also answered neatly, but his tone was very similar to Jiang Ye's. Obviously, it was Jiang Ye's guidance. The secret voice transmission was indeed a useful skill. First, I am afraid that I will disturb Master's rest. Second, I am also worried that even if we meet, Master will still be sleepy, and it will not be good if he neglects you, officer. Lu Xiaohu once again stretched out his hand. So, please go back. Li Fan was very satisfied with the answer. When his two disciples worked together, they were impeccable. However, Li Fan was concerned about one thing. This newly appointed minister, of all times, had to come when he was injured. Did he do it intentionally or unintentionally? Once they knew that he was not in the dojo, the Seven Heroes dojo would immediately lose its protection. Who knew what this minister-level cadre would do? He always felt that he was full of confidence. Even with the protection of General Ran, it was not as safe as him being here. Especially since Jean Hisao was staying in the student dormitory at the back. Once she was discovered, she would be in trouble. If the higher-ups knew that he was harboring a wanted criminal, it would be hard for him to explain himself. If it really was intentional, then this newly arrived minister-level cadre was truly not simple. It's okay, I can wait. The Prime Minister-level cadre stood in the training hall and said loudly, "It's 1 o'clock in the middle of the night. Since Chief Li works at sunrise and rests at sunrise, he should wake up in 4 hours. At that time, I will naturally be able to meet you." Le Xiaohu seemed a little anxious, but he suddenly paused and said, "If that's the case, sir, please take a rest in the lounge." "No need, I am a martial artist, I'm not that delicate. I will just wait here." This minister-level cadre was quite persistent. The outside was also surrounded by layers of imperial guards, but who was Li Fan? He had already prepared a secret passage. From the back of a nearby restaurant, he followed the secret passage back to the underground training ground of the dojo. Li Fan had already calculated this in the early stages of designing the dojo, and Lin Yueixin had repeatedly urged him to do so. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, it's better to be prepared. "All right then, I'll do as you wish, sir." Le Xiaohu had no choice. Since the other party did not do anything to the dojo, it was not appropriate for him to make a move. Moreover, Jiang Yi had been watching him, preventing him from acting impulsively. However, the Prime Minister-level cadre suddenly turned his head and his gaze fell on Jiang Ye's face. "This is Chief Li's second disciple, right?" Jiang Yi nodded. "Since you're both Chief Li's beloved disciples, you might as well say what you want to say. There's no need to borrow someone else's mouth and appear distant." This sentence made even Li Fan a little secretly shocked. This kid was amazing. He actually noticed Jiang Ye's small movements. It was inevitable that there would be slight lip movements during a voice transmission from 1,000 miles away. Although Jiang Yi was wearing a mask, girls still loved to be beautiful. Her new mask only covered the upper half of her face, revealing the delicate lower half of her oval face. Chief Li has misunderstood. Just when Lu Xiaohu was slightly flustered, Jiang Yi spoke. Her voice was as sweet as the chirping of an oriole, causing the two imperial guards present to be a little dazed. This little girl admires senior brother. I just said some sour words just now. I don't want outsiders to hear it. Lu Xiaohu rolled his eyes in his heart, thinking, you've always been devoted to master. When did you develop feelings for me? However, this explanation was very reasonable, and no one could find fault with it. Although I can't see your face, this young lady is also a beauty. You've misunderstood. This little girl has a wound on her face, and other than senior brother, I really don't want others to see it. The minister-level cadre laughed. Since you're a child of the pugilistic world, why hide it? Why not let this Yao have a look? As he spoke, he suddenly stepped forward and reached out to grab Jiang Ye's mask. Sir, please stop. Jiang Yi took a step back, while Lu Xiaohu stepped forward and reached out, trying to push away the minister-level cadre's hand. However, the other party laughed and bumped his shoulder forward, directly hitting Lu Xiaohu's chest, causing him to take a step back. At the same time, his momentum did not decrease, and he continued to grab Jiang Ye's mask. This guy couldn't be neglected. If he discovered Jiang Ye's appearance, it would be very troublesome. However, it was just taking off the mask. Jiang Yi couldn't resist desperately, and it would instead cause more suspicion. At this time, Li Fan had no choice but to act. He let go of Takeda Lan's hand, his body turned into a shadow, and instantly appeared in front of the minister-level cadre, grabbing him by the wrist. The minister-level cadre only felt as if his hand was caught by an iron hoop, unable to advance or retreat. The two little disciples revealed a look of joy. Lu Xiaohu's eyes lit up, and the corners of Jiang Ye's mouth rose. Murong Ai even clapped her hands and shouted happily. Brother-in-law, you're awake? I'm sorry for waking you up. Lu Wan-er looked apologetic, one hand on Murong Ai's shoulder, and bowed her head to apologize to Li Fan. Li Fan looked at the minister-level cadre and asked with a smile. Friend, visiting so late at night, is it because you admire me? Chapter 12:26. The officer was shocked. Why was Li Fan here? But his expression immediately calmed down, and he looked at Li Fan with a smile. Officer Li, you're finally awake. Hey, the clothes you're wearing? Excuse me, this is my pajamas. How is it? Isn't it different? When Li Fan became thick-skinned, others couldn't do anything to him. It's really unique. The officer suddenly cupped his hands. Officer Li, my name is Yao Lei, the newly appointed Imperial Guard of G City. I've heard of your name for a long time, and I'm here to pay my respects to you. Brother Yao is too polite. Li Fan was neither cold nor warm. I'm not an ancient official, nor an emperor, nor your father, so there's no need to pay my respects. If you're free, come here and have a drink. Li Fan's words made Yao Lei's eyebrows jump slightly, but Yao Lei was quite shrewd. He endured such humiliation. Officer Li is really humorous. Can you let go of my hand first? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Li Fan laughed and let go of Yao Lei's wrist. Yao Lei glanced at the wrist, which was already red, and there was a red band on it, which was faintly painful. Are you okay, Brother Yao? Does it hurt? Li Fan pretended to ask. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. Yao Lei laughed dryly. Li Fan patted Jiang Yi and Lu Xiaohu's shoulders. You two still have something to talk about. Go. Brother Yao came for me, I'll entertain him. Li Fan pointed to the door next to him. Go. Jiang Yi was smart and immediately understood Li Fan's intention. She pulled Lu Xiaohu and went to the room where Takeda Lan was. When they arrived, Takeda Lan would naturally explain to them. Xiao Wan Xiao Ai, you should also sleep. Imperial concubine Zhou, will you entertain Brother Yao with me, or go back to rest? This empress doesn't have to entertain just anyone. Imperial concubine Zhou swept her sleeves and returned to her room. It's rude of me to visit so late at night. Big Brother Yao, I welcome you. However, there's no need for such a large army to press down on the border, right? It makes me feel like the soldiers are at the gates of a city. I'm so flustered. Yao Lei followed Li Fan and sat down beside the sea of tea. Wang Xiaoran was also woken up. As an apprentice, she obediently walked over and poured tea for the two of them. Li Fan nodded at Wang Xiaoran. This little girl was quite quick-witted. Then, Li Fan turned his attention back to Yao Lei. This is indeed my fault. I didn't think it through. Yao Lei chuckled and apologized. My subordinates were worried about my safety and insisted that Officer Li was in danger. I think they're worrying too much. How could there be any danger here with Officer Li, right? Yes. How could there be danger? My martial arts club is the safest place in G City. Li Fan agreed without hesitation. Those people made up stories to smear the reputation of the Seven Heroes Martial Arts Club. They've gone too far. In the past, there were always people who came to make trouble for our martial arts club. But now it's different. We have the royal guards to protect us. For law-abiding martial artists like us, the royal guards are our guardians, right? Yes, Officer Li is right. Yao Lei seemed to be smiling insincerely. By the way, Big Brother Yao, it's getting late. You'd better go back and rest early. Li Fan reminded him with a smile. It's late. Rest early. We're all martial artists, so we should have a strict routine. That's right. Then I won't disturb Officer Li's rest. Yao Lei seemed to have nothing to take advantage of, so he forced a smile and bowed to Li Fan, saying goodbye and leaving. This kind of monster can be easily dealt with. Li Fan took a sip of tea and looked at Wang Xiaoran, who was standing next to him, and said with a smile, Master, the royal guards are going overboard. They obviously noticed that you weren't here today and wanted to bully us. Wang Xiaoran complained, Master, when will we bully them too? Don't worry. I've bullied them plenty of times. Li Fan laughed and didn't take it seriously. Just watch the show. Soon, I'll make sure that Yao Lei doesn't even dare to enter my door. Li Fan said and ordered Wang Xiaoran, for these few days, tell the public that I'm in seclusion and don't let anyone disturb me. Li Fan had just absorbed a dragon, so he hadn't properly digested it yet. He decided to go into seclusion this time to fully comprehend the 9 dragons' will that he created. The foundation of the 9 dragons' will was still based on the 7 heroes' force. Li Fan planned to break through the 9th acupoint during this seclusion. If he could break through to the 9th star, he would probably be able to do whatever he wanted in this world. Then tell Imperial Consort Zhou to help me protect the newly arrived Miss Takeda Ran for these 2 days. Will she agree? Don't worry. Just say that I'm asking her to. She will definitely agree. Although Imperial Consort Zhou's temper was a little arrogant, she was very smart. She definitely knew that he had a reason for doing this. Then how long does Master plan to go into seclusion this time? I'll be out in about 7 or 8 days. But after that, I'll always say that I'm in seclusion. Li Fan already had a plan. He instructed Wang Xiaoran, then returned to his room and instructed Lu Wan. Finally, Li Fan walked into the underground training ground with a peace of mind and pulled open the mechanism of a secret room. The wall in front of him slowly opened, revealing a small partition inside. This was where Li Fan went into seclusion. Even Lu Xiaohu and the others didn't know of its existence. The so-called seclusion was to wholeheartedly devote oneself to cultivation and not be disturbed by the outside world. Moreover, once Li Fan went into seclusion, he wouldn't eat or drink. He wouldn't touch rice or water for at least 7 days. Li Fan sat cross-legged on the futon in the room. His eyes were focused on his nose, and his nose was focused on his heart. His hands were folded in a circle, like an old monk in meditation. At the same time, he instantly entered his visualization world. He sat there cross-legged and began to meditate on the 9 dragons' will that he created. As Li Fan cultivated, the circulation speed of his dantian began to increase. A strong wave of vitality began to flow through his meridians, increasing Li Fan's strength. The foundation of the 9 dragons' will that Li Fan created was the 7 heroes' force, but the moves were different. If Xiaohu and Jiang Ye's inner force reached the advanced stage, they could also practice the 9 dragons' will that was 1 level higher than the 7 heroes' fist. Li Fan divided the 9 dragons' will into the 4 minor moves and the 5 major moves. Among the 4 minor moves, Li Fan had already used the guillotine many times. The remaining moves were Dragon Capturing Hand, War Dragon Roar, and Dragon Subduing Sword. Li Fan decided to rename the guillotine to Dragon Subduing Platform, which was more in line with the 4 minor moves. The 5 major moves were Profound Dragon Ice Palm, Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment, Golden Dragon True Body, Dragon Traveling the 9 Heavens, and Supreme Dragon Fist. Some of these moves originated from the 7 heroes' fist, while others originated from the Dragon Body technique. Now, they were all modified by Li Fan and became his top moves. Chapter 12:27. 9 days. Li Fan spent a total of 9 days in seclusion. Every day, the scenery that Li Fan saw in the visualization world was different. On the first day, when Li Fan entered the Mind Sea, his reflection in the water slowly stood up. He emerged from the water and stood in front of Li Fan, looking straight at him. He was different from the original Heaven's Chosen One. Although this figure still looked like Li Fan, his body was emitting a slight chill. At the same time, one of his right hands was a dragon's claw. The dragon's claw was ferocious and covered with black scales. The end of the claw was abnormally sharp, as if it was a small steel knife. This should be the current state of his body. Li Fan pondered for a while and roughly guessed. The you in this form should be the me in the inner world. Li Fan looked at the other party and roughly understood. He sighed and said to the figure, "It seems that you really are a monster." The other party did not make a sound, as if he could not hear Li Fan's words. He stood there, dumbfounded and motionless. "All right, since that's the case, let's go back to our own business." Since the Mind Sea was so big, Li Fan was not afraid that this kid would take up some space. He walked to the side, stepped on the ground with one foot, and raised the other, standing on one leg. Li Fan's first move was to practice the guillotine, which had been renamed as the dragon-slaying platform. Although the guillotine was powerful, Li Fan felt that it lacked a sense of lethality. The guillotine only chopped off people's heads. As for the dragon-slaying platform, it could even chop off dragons. If he wanted to make this kick even more powerful, he would need some special technique to exert force. Li Fan thought hard but did not know how to improve. However, at this moment, the figure that had been standing there quietly suddenly moved. He leaped and quickly approached Li Fan. At the same time, he twisted his waist and swept his leg towards Li Fan's neck. Li Fan was shocked and subconsciously wanted to dodge. However, after this kick, it was as if the air around Li Fan had been sucked dry, causing him to stagnate for a moment. It was as if someone had locked him in place with shackles, waiting for the blade to behead him. By the time Li Fan could move, that sharp, blade-like calf had already swept across his neck. Pooh! Li Fan's head was kicked away, and his figure quickly disappeared from the sea of consciousness. By the time Li Fan opened his eyes, he had already returned to the real world. He was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat in the secret chamber, drenched in cold sweat. Li Fan wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, unable to calm down for a long time. The person in his heart had actually moved. Moreover, his moves seemed to be even purer, without any flaws to speak of. Li Fan understood that the person living in his heart was like a wild beast. He had no concept of right and wrong, only a fanaticism towards martial arts and strength. This was the true state that a martial artist should have, forgetting all emotions, disregarding family and friends, and wholeheartedly practicing martial arts. However, Li Fan couldn't do this. His heart still had the mortal world and the secular world. However, the other him had completed what he couldn't do and practiced the moves that he couldn't. Treating others as a teacher, treating oneself as a teacher, Li Fan could be considered a weirdo. However, this kind of opportunity was extremely rare. Only Li Fan had such an opportunity. He readjusted his state and once again entered the visualization world in his heart. As Li Fan entered here, the other him who was immersed in the sea of consciousness once again slowly rose up and stood in front of him. "Hi, we meet again." Li Fan looked at the other him in front of him. "Let me give you a name. Seeing that you look like a half-human and half-dragon, why don't I call you Dragon Prince?" Li Fan looked at his other self with a bit of narcissism. This handsome appearance really does look like the handsome Dragon Prince. And then he hooked his finger at the Dragon Prince. Come, use the dragon subduing platform again?" However, the other party didn't move and ignored his words. Fuck, disobedient again. Li Fan was a bit annoyed. This guy clearly belonged to him, but he actually didn't listen to him. Since words don't work, let's use force. With that, Li Fan directly raised his leg and kicked towards the Dragon Prince's head. The power of his kick was definitely not light. Moreover, he imitated the dragon subduing platform from before. When he kicked out, the air in front of him was also stirred up, forming a special cyclone that locked the other party's body. However, his cyclone was obviously not mature enough and was unable to completely lock the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince's body suddenly moved. His waist moved along with his calf and swung it greatly. With a swing, not only did he shatter Li Fan's cyclone, he also successfully counterattacked Li Fan. With a kick, he once again shattered Li Fan's head. Fuck me. Li Fan opened his eyes again and returned to the real world. This son of a bitch is really powerful. After Li Fan finished cursing, he was a bit silent. It seemed like he was cursing himself. No, I don't believe it. Li Fan once again entered his own consciousness. Every time he came here, the figure in his mind would slowly rise. It's all because of me. I don't believe that I can't learn this dragon subduing platform. Li Fan jumped up and fought with the Dragon Prince. Li Fan didn't know how many times he was beaten back by the Dragon Prince, but he didn't give up and kept returning to his own consciousness to challenge the Dragon Prince. The time outside and Li Fan's consciousness were obviously not synchronized. As Li Fan became stronger, the time in his consciousness became slower and slower. Now, one day in the outside world, he could walk for a year in his consciousness. After a year, Li Fan finally understood this dragon subduing platform. I don't even have the concept of time. Li Fan once again stood in front of the Dragon Prince. He stretched his muscles and said slowly, "It's been almost a year. This time, I won't lose to you." Feeling Li Fan's fighting spirit, the Dragon Prince directly roared and used his martial arts instincts to instantly appear in front of Li Fan. With a dragon subduing platform, he directly locked Li Fan's body and kicked his head. But this time, Li Fan was already prepared. He had already adapted to the Dragon Prince's cyclone seal. He followed the direction of the airflow and moved to a different position, avoiding the other party's calf. At the same time, Li Fan turned around and kicked. His waist moved the strength of his calf, and with the strength of a battle axe, he instantly chopped down. The Dragon Prince's body stiffened. This time, Li Fan's large success cyclone finally locked onto him. The Dragon Prince's head was kicked away and rolled on the ground. Li Fan stood there and watched as Long Taizi picked up his head and put it back on his neck. No matter what, thank you. Next, let's practice the second move. Li Fan raised his hand and gathered his essence in his palm, dragon capturing hand. Chapter 12:28. 9 days had passed, but Li Fan had spent 9 years in his mind. The stronger one's mental energy was, the slower the mental world would pass. Ordinary people could also reach this state, but they could only do it at special times. It was at the moment of death that they would meet. A person could live his life again in an instant after death. However, Li Fan's mental energy had reached a certain level. After all, he was the inheritor of the Shang Fang sword. It would not do for his mental energy to be weak. His mental energy alone was equivalent to that of thousands of people. However, he had not reached his strongest state. It was like an ordinary person whose mental energy was at its strongest before death. An instant was a lifetime. That was to say, a short 2 or 3 seconds could pass in one's mind for decades. As for Li Fan, one day was 1 year. He was still far from it. However, there were only 2 situations in which one could reach that state. It was either a god or a ghost. Li Fan looked at the Dragon Crown Prince in front of him as his essence surged continuously. We have been fighting for 9 years. I have improved a lot in these 9 years. After we finish practicing the Supreme Dragon Fist today, our training will be over. The other party did not say anything. He only looked at Li Fan. Come, let's have our final battle today. Li Fan gathered his essence on his fist as his gaze landed on the Dragon Crown Prince. This Supreme Dragon Fist was derived from the Lion King Fist. Fist techniques pursued one word: speed. As the saying went, speed was the only thing unbeatable in the world of martial arts. The Dragon Crown Prince seemed to have sensed the enemy's thoughts. Every time Li Fan wanted to practice something, the Dragon Crown Prince would execute it immediately. The Dragon Crown Prince stepped forward with his left foot and took a horse stance. However, when Li Fan stood there, he did not take a horse stance but a boxing stance. The horse stance was the foundation of China's martial arts. It emphasized stability. A person who practiced martial arts had to learn the horse stance from the moment they learned how to walk. The more stable the horse stance was, the more stable the punch would be. However, the boxing stance was the opposite. In actual combat, one's feet moved continuously, changing the distance. Relying on this kind of movement, one could dodge the opponent's attack while looking for the opponent's weakness to attack. When Chen Jin returned from studying abroad in Japan, he used this boxing footwork to sweep through the martial arts world at that time. Li Fan had been fighting the Dragon Prince with a horse stance, but every time he punched, he was not as fast as the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince's punching method was purer and more primitive. He could always sense Li Fan's thoughts. He was 1 step faster than Li Fan. If Xiaochen wanted to defeat the Dragon Crown Prince, he would have to completely change the method of the Supreme Dragon Fist. Li Fan's footsteps wandered, and he completely let himself move. A golden light flashed on the Dragon Prince's body, and the fist aura instantly appeared in front of Li Fan. Just at this instant, Li Fan took a step back. His body turned into an afterimage as he brushed past the Dragon Crown Prince's manifested fist, dodging the Supreme Dragon Fist. However, the Dragon Prince took another step forward and punched again. In this world of consciousness, the Dragon Prince had endless power. His fist energy once again arrived in front of Li Fan. Li Fan shifted his feet and slid to the side again, dodging the fist energy. When Li Fan dodged, he completely closed his eyes. The Supreme Dragon Fist was no slower than the speed of sound. It was impossible to see it with one's eyes. The only way was to rely on one's mind-eye. This mind's eye was an extremely high realm for martial fighters. Through rich combat experience and the strange movements of the surrounding air, one could judge the other party's movements. One's eyes could lie, but one's energy could not. Li Fan relied on his control of energy to dodge the other party's manifested fist. The Supreme Dragon Fist seemed to be ineffective against Li Fan. It's my turn, right? Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes, which gave off a golden light. At the same time, he shook his shoulder and sent the Dragon Prince flying. A fist-sized bloody hole appeared in the Dragon Prince's chest. He fell to the ground, and the bloody hole in his chest slowly healed. It's about time. Li Fan opened his eyes again and returned to his secret room. 9 days had passed, and Li Fan felt hungry. Originally, Xiaochen should have gone out to get food every 7 days. He did not expect to be locked up for 9 days this time. It's about time. Li Fan slowly stood up and stretched. 9 days had passed in the outside world, but 9 years had passed in his heart. However, Li Fan did not find these 9 years unbearable at all. This was because he could feel his improvement every day. Although it wasn't the growth of his inner force, his moves had taken a huge leap forward. The Nine Dragons art had also matured, perfected to the point of having no openings. It's time to go out and take a stroll. Li Fan felt hungry. He had not eaten delicacies in a long time and was craving for them. This was especially so for the pickled vegetables. He had not had a proper meal since he arrived here. When Li Fan finally came out of closed-door cultivation, he prepared to instruct the chef to prepare this famous dish from the northeast to satisfy his hunger. Master, congratulations on coming out of closed-door cultivation. Li Fan's aura was unique. Not long after he came out, the sensitive Jiang Yi had already sensed it. She half-knelt in the underground training ground, holding a basin of water and a hot towel in her hands, waiting for Li Fan. Be good. Li Fan washed his face and wiped it with the towel. How many days have I been here? Li Fan only felt that 7 or 8 days had passed. He did not have a good sense of time. 9 days. Jiang Yi remembered it clearly. Well, is there any movement these few days? You were not here these few days, and the martial arts world has been in chaos. Jiang Yi laughed. The #1 boxing master of Japan, Takeda, has overturned the entire southern martial arts world. Almost all the martial arts schools have been overturned by him. Takeda. 9 days is enough for him to destroy many martial arts schools. Li Fan chuckled. The higher-ups must be anxious. I'm so anxious. Jiang Yi knew what her master was thinking. The Sima family has fought with him, and they were completely defeated. In the entire Sima family, in the entire imperial army, no one is his opponent. Then what about Murong Bo? What about Murong Ing? Murong Ing is now abroad and can't come back. Jiang Yi immediately reported. Murong Bo is also in seclusion and can't come out. Good, now there will be a good show to watch. Li Fan gently rubbed his stomach. Let's not talk about this first, let's eat. I'm afraid you can't eat well. Jiang Yi pointed outside. Yao Lei of the Imperial Army is outside, and has been waiting for you for 3 days. Oh, he is homeless? Master, you must be joking. Yao Lei is waiting for you to come out. What, you want me to fight with Takeda? Li Fan already knew, from Takeda Land's strength, it could be seen that this grandfather of hers was definitely not an empty title. And the Sima family had a few experts, but this generation began to indulge in their official career, and their martial arts were getting worse and worse. The other martial arts experts were either dead or crippled. China's martial arts world was already finished. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.